Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 57, a podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, and topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Catch updates about the podcast or for other news, give us a follow on your social media platform of choice. Listed in the description below. It's Sunday, and we're recording this last minute, and I'm your host. I'm your GM and overseer. Podcast of Five Rings Obsidian for multiple reasons, which we'll get into in a second. We got Tetsuo here. He's the wall that will not fall.
Hello.
Obviously. Meta, who's the Dark Fortune duelist.
Time.
I'm the reason why we're doing this last minute.
No, it's me too. And Mao, the resident wildcard. Well,
yeah,
kind of me.
Most of us were ready to record on Thursday.
Yeah, on Thursday, everyone else was good to go. We had a storm and my power was out for like...
How dare you not have backup power?
I know, right?
I don't understand why
for
you don't
almost
have
an entire day
in your house.
Yeah, I know. I need to get like a little legion of hamsters that are on all the walls in the basement.
Bring them up.
Constantly
Bring them
just
up.
rolling around and generating electricity, right? Save a ton of money.
The amount of money you spend on the feed actually equals out, so there's no money gained or
I
lost.
was gonna say that's a lot.
Oh God, didn't think about logistics. I'm awful at logistics.
No finances.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though: you can harvest all their little droppings and burn it for more fuel from.
Oh, there you go.
Like coal.
I guess that's true.
Use it as fertilizer.
That's true.
And you can grow more.
Although with them working 24/7, they're probably prone to dropping dead.
I've never known a hamster to sleep. They seem to be awake.
Oh no, they only. It seems like they're only active at night when you're trying to sleep. That's when they run around on their squeaky little wheel and make noise constantly.
Assholes.
It's right as your eyes close and you drop into sweet slumber. You hear that?
That's when they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna go screw with my owner now."
Yeah, exactly.
Really squeaky wheelie got me.
Yeah, I've never had one, but my old roommate had one, so they're funny.
Got off to a great start.
It did.
Hey, that's how we do things here, Mel. You should know this by now.
We never really get on topic.
Is it just me, or does it seem like the wild card keeps us on topic? Actually.
Yeah, you're not really doing your job, wild card.
Well, no,
if all of you guys aren't, then I am.
Yeah. He's rebelling against his wild card status by being a wild card.
But wouldn't he be a wild card if technically he's going what the status quo is of everything else?
Yeah, exactly. If we label him as the wild card, but then he tries to keep the status quo, then he's going against your expectations, so he's the wild card.
There you go.
It's like postmodern art, you see.
Oh, Jesus.
We're breaking from traditions and norms.
Let's make fun of all the things that came before us in our postmodern art.
Exactly. All right. So we'll just go ahead and get into topics. Meta, you're up first. What are you talking about today?
Since we haven't talked about samurai things in a while, which is a lie, but specifically, we haven't talked about L5R things in a while, which is a truth. So there you go. A line of truth. You can take this. Actually, I wanted to talk about is the core book. I mean, everybody, when you pick up L5R, obviously you have to have the core book. Generally about everything that you need to know from a pretty neutral history timeline. It teaches the mechanics. It shows you some of the core classes of the schools, the most well-known ones, and a lot more. But if you play a game long enough, and this eventually happens no matter what the game is, you eventually find out that certain things are definitely a little bit better than other things. Well, it's kind of subjective on certain parts, like where that list falls, so to speak. I kind of actually wanted to take a look at the Great Clan bushi, specifically from the core book, and tier.
All right, we don't have to talk about Manus and Spider. Those lessons. No, I know. I'm being. I'm having a joke.
Having a go.
Anyway, it's almost like saying you like Mantis. So
I know, right?
So hey, I can't say I hate the Mantis, seeing as how Lily likes Kitsune and they were in the Mantis. So I wanted to go over them and look at them because we've all played the game a fair amount of time. Some of us more so than others, but we've had a lot of experience, I would think, between us to kind of get an idea of like where some of the bushi stand and kind of list them after the game has been out for so long and quite literally the next owned by Fantasy Flight. It's going to be dropping here in a few months' time. So I did want to set up a few rules though. Agree or not the point. I wanted to set up rules that we have an idea of a basis that we're going over for this, because if we don't, then we're going to have all these different ways of like seeing where they would drop depending on a lack of essentially a guideline to follow, which will make it really hard to do this. So rule number 1 is that the whole school has to be examined regardless of how common it actually comes into play or not. While it is more common to see, say, low insight rank games like maybe 1, 2, 3s, I do think that's an unfinished view of its techniques. That said, what techniques a school gets at what rank should matter and definitely should be considered when we're looking at the school. The second thing is, school, we should generally set a guideline for what everything is set at, and that should be the school rank is going to be considered 5, just because that is the basis for what all the schools are based around, is 5 ranks for any school. Not counting advanced or anything like that. We also should consider ring and honors to be matched for a technique, but we can probably just lean towards a 4 or 5 for traits, and honor to 6 to 8. If they have like a high honor class in general that has a stat buffed around it, because that's generally where a player's probably going to stay at. Anytime we do compare that mechanic, we should also lean towards the combatants having equal skill in equal skill ranks as well. So this is technically just done to make sure that we have a mechanically fair placement that is only affected by school technique. The other thing is that starting gear is the basis for what a school might use if any techniques involve them. But like our first rule, it doesn't matter how common it is. It should be just it should still be taken into account for the whole thing, and it's not considered technically a full finish view as well. There also might be some odd choices, which we'll see in some of the schools, that definitely should be accounted for because that part of their kit will define something. The fourth rule is we're going to be avoiding alternate paths. Most focus on changing what the school might do. Most of my focus for changing what the school might do. I can't talk. Most focus on changing what the school might do as opposed to being a flat out buff, while others are very clearly good, like say Heat of Berserker, or potentially a trap choice, which I would argue is probably the Doji Poet. We can give, however, honorable mentions to any that might make the school clearly better or worse by a good degree, like the 2 I just gave pointed out. And we're also going to avoid kata just for the similar reasons. Not only can some be shared by schools, so it's a moot point, but it's not actually part of the school itself. A player does have to pick that up and make that choice. And it will make things a little bit less copy-pasted, so to speak. But there are definitely certain katas that are just flat out better than other ones, regardless of the schools that have access. There's that. We can definitely give honorable mention. So, with that said, I figure we're just going to go down this list very simple, very easy, and we're going to just start from alphabetical of the clans themselves. So we would be starting with the Crab Clan. So the Crab Clan, yeah, we have the Carb Clan. So the Carb Clan has 2 bushi in the core book, and that is the Hitabushi and the Harumabushi. And I'm going to just say we can just do this off a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being it's a very, very low niche class that it has a lot. It's essentially it's MTD, multiple trait disorder, or it does things, but it doesn't excel at anything. Or there's other classes that might do it better, or at least earlier on, which means that they're better throughout their lifespan. So, and 5 would be where it's top tier. It does what it does extremely well, and it also does other things outside of that realm as well, which lets it only excel what it does. So that's going to be the scale we're going to go from a 1 to 5.
1 is bad, 5 is best.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So I wanted to start off with the Hitabushi. Just for the 5 ranks, I just wanted to point out that it has right from the get-go, it has the ability to wear heavy armor without penalty. I think personally that's really good. It also gains, on top of that, just +1 keep 0 damage with heavy weapons, which is equivalent to the rank 3 mastery for sword, Genjutsu. Its second rank gives it natural reduction equal to its earth, which is generally just going to be high because it's a Hitabushi. And then the rank 3 follows this up by giving it simple attacks for not only heavy weapons, but samurai weapons as well. And then at the fourth rank, it can daze once per encounter, which is an immensely good condition to apply. And then at rank 5, has the ability to, on the reactions round, to immediately spend a void point, which does not cost against your limit because it's a school technique, which negates 3 very potent status effects, which is, I think, fatigue, stun, and daze condition.
Yep.
And you act as you're healthy, regardless of where you're actually at on the.
Yeah, they're super strong. They're one of the best ones in the
I
in the
personally
game,
believe, yeah.
if not the
My
best one.
Hitabushi.
I would probably say the Hitabushi. And
Any school that like puts out a status effect or conditional effect or whatever they call them they're always really strong. So
I agree.
Not only that, you ignore reduction as well.
Only thing I would say is that chances are you're wielding a heavy weapon, and heavy weapons can be, in practice, they can be hard to hit with sometimes. So the dazed isn't as potent as if it said, you just daze somebody. I guess you still have to hit with an attack, which is still good. Don't get me wrong on that, but it does have a bit of a limitation to it.
I would agree, but the ability, because of the full attack, because daze not only gives the opponent a -3 keep 0 to all like action rolls essentially, but it also forces that target to immediately go into only defense or total. They can't actually take up an offensive stance. So if the Hitabushi went first in a fight, through just simple sheer luck, or he gambled with a void point to go first, that immediately means that if they were going to attack you, and that applies to them, on their turn, they immediately have to switch to either defensive or full defense, which means that you don't even have to worry about being hit back as a Hitabushi, which, I mean, from the first place, you're probably not going to worry about too much because you're probably going to be rocking anywhere from potentially with an Earth Ring of 3, 8, thanks to the 5 reduction on heavy armor, to potentially 10 if you have a sweet, swanky 10 Earth Ring. So I think in that part, and just as stated before, having a status of condition to apply is just really good.
Yeah, I mean, you're effectively denying them a turn.
Yeah.
With it. I think it's once per encounter, right? Yeah, once per encounter.
Yeah, once per encounter.
And if you full attack, it only can apply to, or if you attack twice, it only applies to one of them. So.
Yeah, you have to choose. The only downside is you do have to choose before it.
Yeah.
But the other plus to it is that it actually also ignores another 4 points of reduction with that as well.
Yeah, and heavy weapons also, I think, have
from the start.
Yep.
Yeah, you can ignore it to 2.
So,
I think the only downside to the heavy weapons in general, the Hitabushi, is that if you're playing, which, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of really put on it, but if you're actually being a stickler for readying a weapon, whether you consider that having the weapon out or drawing it or readying it before a fight might take place, it does require a full complex action to draw that weapon.
Yeah, that's basically the built-in disad of heavy weapons. It's like you really walk around this guy's castle with your weapon drawn, those Tetsubos in your hand.
Yeah, it's
but
really
the problem though too is like how do you like you can't really have a sheath for a Tetsubo, you know what I mean? Like it's like if it's on you, it's out.
Yeah, it's just always out.
Strapped across your back or something.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you can avoid that though with the Masakari, because the Masakari is actually a medium heavy sized heavy weapon.
Yeah.
So you can drop that down to a simple action.
I mean that's what defense stance is for essentially.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So I don't know. They're really good. They're strong. They're
pretty
easy to play.
Things.
Yeah, they're good at not dying. They're good at killing things. They're good at action economy because you deny turns. They're good at still fighting. They make for really good tanks, basically. If Elf Armor is going to have a tank.
Yeah, very good soak tank. Not so much, I guess, sort of to a degree, a AC tank, but really a soak tank.
The heavy armor helps with the AC, especially earlier on.
Yeah.
It's effectively like which
But I feel like
later.
the armor adds more in as far, like, again, at rank 5, more towards the reduction than it does the straight AC.
It does. I mean, like later on in the game, eventually there's just a point where you're no longer are using armor to protect yourself against damage you're going to get hit. It's more about trying to deny them more raises with. So I would personally place the Hitabushi at rank 5.
I'd give them a 5 as well.
I just think that they're.
I know we
so
said we
good.
weren't going to factor it in, but just as a consideration with that Berserker, if you take the two together, that's just broken.
Yeah,
you're more DPS at that point.
Yeah, you're more DPS, but I mean, you can still keep going too. It's pretty disgusting.
Because you're still going to have all the soak you had from before. It's again, you still have all the soak. You just
yeah. Well, you lose a little soak from the rank too, but your change is
that's true. Yeah, that's right.
As pointed out, it's really just you're switching from a less of a tanky style to more of I'm going to beat the crap out. Which I mean, Heated Berserker in itself, it's just they even specifically state in one of the books it's pretty broken.
Yeah, they say not to combine it with the Ruma. Axe wielders or whatever.
Yep, the Masakari Haruma.
Yeah.
Since we went ahead and started with the best and the first, I'm done. I'll see you guys later.
I feel like there's some like bias in there. So speaking of Haruma, that's the next guy we're going to talk about. So just to quickly go over his abilities.
Massive drop.
I know, right? The first rank on him is that he gets a simple +1 keep 0 to his attack stance. 1 keep 0 into attacks while he's in only the attack stance. And he also makes supplies last double the time in situation. So that's the first part is kind of very niche, and the second part for the supplies is nice, but it only matters if you're playing a game
it's flavor.
and you're actually traveling. Unfortunately, it's not very mechanically something that ends up happening in L5R. You're generally always with society in this game. It's not about adventuring out into the deep forest like it will be in other tabletops. It loses a lot, but you can definitely play games like that too. Rank 2 is, I think, where the
meat and potatoes.
Yeah, this is where the Humabushi starts to become slowly rising into Super Saiyan territory. Every successful attack you make, you gain +5 armor equal to as many ranks have. As many school ranks that you have for the school. So at rank 2, if you make 2 attacks and they both hit, you just give yourself +10 to your armor. And then, of course, it goes up to 15, 20, and then eventually 25.
Yep.
It lasts until the skirmish is over. And just with a bit of math here, if your Hurumabushi has reflex of 4, which is likely bound to happen with them, and they're wearing light armor, if you're a rank 5 and you get all of your rank hits in, you now have a TN of 5 just to be hit. That's insane. Especially considering that generally it's considered a 10 keeps 10 average roll is 60.
And you can get hummingbird wings on top of it, their next technique. So
Yep, which is what's really good. Because at rank 3, that is you add double your school rank to your armor TN once per round against the designated attack. Which, as you stated, is really good, which can bring it up to 65 if you're at rank 5, which also
amazing for it, which is really nice.
Yeah.
They
make nice evasion tanks, basically.
Yeah, it's a very nice evasion tank. It does wonderfully well, and what's best of all is that it's a buff on itself as opposed to a debuff on a target. So regardless of who you hit or how many you're facing, you're enhancing yourself. Which is, in my eyes, always better to buff than debuff, since there's multiple opponents, but only one. Unfortunately, it does kind of trade off output, because it does get a late simple attack at 4. Plus side, by this point, now you can start ramping up very quickly. You can technically get 4 armor in a round, or 10 armor in a round at that point. So. And then rank 5 is pretty good. It's essentially when you kill a target off or you drop them to out, or I can't remember the specific wording on it, but if you drop them down, any excess wounds that would have taken them out, you can then immediately apply on your next damage roll. So
It's
That's,
still.
yeah, more
It's
wounds
kind of
necessary to kill.
It's honestly kind of weak, in my opinion, because you have to kill them and then do the excess. A lot of times, people will just drop stuff, so it's almost like you have to do more. But I mean, it's not really. But and then like, is the Haruma going to like attack a down opponent at rank 5 to carry over wounds and finish someone off?
That was actually something I was thinking about. It also sucks in a 1v1, so if you're in a duel, it does you no good whatsoever. You capped at rank 4.
But I think that they're kind of designed, again, for the whole Shadowlands campaign. So if you're facing a whole bunch of Oni or something, sure as hell he's going to keep wailing on
for
until
sure.
that thing's killed.
Yeah. I also think that, like, and this is kind of where it's really weird, because this is really feels like the toolkit was potentially nerfing itself. They oddly have a katana emphasis for free, but with that kind of technique for rank 5, it's far better just to drop a katana and pick up like a heavy weapon or a polearm, because they'll have keep 3s. Or
but
if
here's
you
where
really
the
want
issue
to,
applies, is that they only get their simple action attack for samurai keyword, not for heavy weapons.
that's true.
Yeah,
that is true.
They're basically katana based, the Haruma Bushi school. Or I'm trying to think of other samurai melee weapons that aren't like katana wakizashi. Like, I think there's polearm, a yari, I believe.
The naginata, but I think the naginata is actually a keep 2 as well.
Yeah, you kind of just want to go katana since you get the free emphasis, honestly.
Yeah. Which is downside. Although your GM might, if you're playing a home game, your GM might state like something else counts, but that's going to be always based on a home game. We have to go with on here.
Yeah. So I don't know. I give him a 3.
That said, we are forgetting one thing, and this is where I'm going to do the honorable mention. You can actually take up Masakari, because there is an alternate path that will allow Masakari attacks, and that's where the honorable mention is going to play. So, core wise,
I still think they're a 3.
Yeah.
They do one thing pretty well. They get lots of TN.
Core wise, I would say probably a 3, potentially a 4. I actually think that just the fact is that the ability to buff your armor TN to a level that even 10 keep 10 would have a hard time hitting is immensely good. The only downside is
Shugenjo for.
Yeah, pretty much.
Armor TN don't help you against fires from within. Still get blasted by fire.
Just gotta take that magic advantage. I personally, I would probably put them around. I'm gonna say 4 for myself, just because again it's a buff, and as long as you can get the ramp up, the only downside is that you can never really switch out of attack stance.
Also, I know a lot of people consider basically the classes that get rank 4 simple attacks to be a lot worse than the classes that get at rank 3.
I think almost by circumstance in some ways, but we'll get to them.
Yeah, there's unfortunately rank 4 just does put you heavily back, and it would be better to have the rank 3 and 4 swap for the Haruma, just because that means you can ramp up
just about any bushi, I think.
Yeah, as output is just better. Output is what the name of the game is. So
yeah, so I think it would take a lot for any school to get that has a rank 4 simple attack to be up there.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But it sounds like group consensus for the majority is definitely a tier 3. So
I think I kind of sit on the fence of 3 and 4 for the reasons stated, but I think 3 is probably
like if we did like halves, I'd probably give it a 3.5, but I think it's closer to the 3 than the 4.
Like I said, I'm gonna go with the honorable
our rating systems, right?
I know, right? I will, like I said, I'm gonna go with the honorable mention that if you do take the Haruma Slayer path, it immediately jumps up there just because now you can use a weapon that does do a keep 3.
I really like the Yojimbo path, personally.
Really good. Yeah. There's a lot of cool choices. Yeah. So that is pretty much the 2 core classes for the crab, which means we get to jump over to the crane. Yeah, the Carne Sada class. So we're gonna start off with the Daidoji Warrior, and this is this is a literal MMO tank class. I just want to point that out.
I love my 2 favorite schools are Iron Warrior and Phoenix Yojimbo.
They're really good.
Yeah, they're strong and potent, and it's disgustingly so. Rank 1 gives you, just like the Haruma Bushi, a +1 keeps your own attack stance. But what really matters is that You gain extra wounds per rank equal to your honor -4.
You're the honorable Dadoji god, not the
yes.
Harrier version.
Not
that's
the Harrier
scout,
version.
but that's a different.
You're not the scout. Yeah, you're not the scout, which goes in a different book.
You can be, but still.
I mean,
you want to be honorable.
Yes, you do want to be honorable with the Daidoji warrior. This is
you can get away with
a huge bonus.
Yeah, you can get away with like having Earth 2 for a while, basically. Or if you want to be a really super tank, then you can stack Earth and be really hard to kill. And just get some heavy armor.
I mean, at at rank, you're on. I mean, you get so much more health just having that extra 4 on each rank is insane.
It's affectionately a free Earth ring. So starting out, you start at 6.5, so you get 2.
Yep.
It's like a little less technically because the first level you're still your Earth times 5, and then you get the +2. So it's not like a Earth 3 times 5 is 15. So if you're Earth 2, it's only 12 as opposed to 15. But it's 3 wounds. It's still really good.
It's really good. But I mean, it doesn't. I mean, you don't build off of that per each wound rank. It just adds another. Your ranks, so to speak, are just bigger as opposed to anybody else. So instead of if you were like if you had like a rank Earth of 4, then you would just have 24 wounds as opposed to 20, and then you would just keep adding 4 to each other rank. So at the end of the day, you only technically have 80 wounds, but each one is expanded out because of the +4.
It's arguably the best rank one in the game. Core-wise.
It's probably
probably core-wise it is, but
I would have to say I probably agree with that. I'll see. But
there's some other good ones.
It's hard to beat. It's very hard to beat just because it increases your survivability without even having to invest anything other than just being, hey, not dishonorable. So
rank 2 is really strong too.
Rank 2 is incredibly strong. The only downside is that it does cost us full action, but we'll get into that. Essentially what it does is that it improves the guard maneuver for both you and your the person that you're guarding. It gives another +5. So normally in a guard, you give a +10 to the target you're guarding, but you take a -5 to your own armor. In this version, the Doji's like, you know what would be a really good idea? Not taking a penalty and making them better. So they did that. So now you give a +15 to your charge, and you don't take a penalty at all. But the guard maneuver does cost a simple action, which means that technically on the first round, if you do have somebody to guard, you're not swinging until rank 3.
I don't even care about that. Every time I play Dadoji, I hole up in defense stance and just spread the love. See, because you can guard twice. You buff your own TN to be hit because you're in the air stance. Yep. You just like invest in defense because they start defense too. You get heavy armor, so you soak better and are just harder to hit. Because when you're guarding, the penalty from heavy armor doesn't affect you at all. So you're literally just giving your party +30 TN to be hit,
which is incredibly nice.
Extremely strong.
It's incredibly strong.
Having that kind of round, it says as well. So
it also lasts for an additional round, which is wonderful.
So you do it to 2. If you got a 5-person group, including you do it to 2, then you do it to the other 2, and everyone constantly has +15, except for you. You're probably breaking even or slightly above.
The only downside of that strategy is that it only works if your opponents are coming to you and not the other way around. If you need to go after a target, if you need to go after anything else, if people have to be split up, which can be forcibly done as well, it's not that great. But that's in a very conditional situation.
I've never seen it be bad.
It's not going to be bad. You can't make that bad, but you can certainly deny the usage of it. But like I said, because it adds spells can certainly do it, but I mean you can even create an environment or a fight that requires that people split.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the limit too is that if they ever move outside of 5. I mean, I know this is more or less what you're saying, but anytime they're further than 5 feet, just period, they lose it.
Gone. So, it's also gone that way too.
So you guys have to all be on top of each other.
Move! You're literally just creating the Roman phalanx. That's what you're doing.
Exactly. I mean,
you're just phalanxing.
That's what you do. And then if you need to use offense, you get a heavy weapon or use a Nodachi. And you can do pretty good.
Yep. Because as long as you are in the attack stance, you can make a simple attack with weapons as a Daidoji. You just have to be in the attack stance.
Any weapon. Any melee weapon.
Any weapon is deliciously potent.
Yeah,
I would say
the best version of those, basically.
It's immensely good. Disgustingly so in some ways, but it works. I think the problem is that it's really good because it works really well with the Daidoji. The Daidoji doesn't really care about going to a full attack all that much.
Yeah, you almost never do, unless the guy's just insanely hard to hit and you gotta get rid of him, or you're wounded or something.
Rank 4 is I think immensely potent
Still good.
as well. It's disgustingly good. So if you get attacked or your charge gets attacked, if you're being under your guard maneuver, on the net you can spend a void point during the reaction and then immediately gain +2 keep 1 to your attack and damage rolls versus that singular target. The only downside is you have to burn a void point for it, and then you do have to be attacked, or your target has to be attacked, protecting them, which means that if they attack your charge or you've actually guarded them, it won't work on that either. But the ability to add 2 keep 1 to your attack and damage rolls is disgustingly good.
Yeah, it's really strong.
It's very potent, and I would have to say it's the only downside is that it does require a bit of kind of being a little bit void point hungry, which means that your Daidoji warrior probably needs a few void points to make really good use of that. Because you're always going to want to keep 1 or 2 on hand as a spare, which technically means that your pool is going to be a little bit smaller.
Which does not combo well with rank 5.
Yeah, which is the unfortunate one here, and probably actually the worst rank in my eyes. It just essentially states that if you're far away from your target that's being under your guard and they're attacked, you can spend 2 void points to immediately get a free action to rush over to their side and take the hit for them. But if you can't reach them with this free action, then it doesn't work and they're going to get slapped like a bitchin'. It's not that great because as Obs pointed out, you shouldn't be running away from your essentially your guard buffer at all. You should never be away from him. There should just never be a situation where you're running away unless you are forced to through either the fight itself, mechanics.
Yeah,
or
it's like a last resort, but it's probably not going to come into play very often.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately the biggest downside.
Yeah, I mean you can still use it when they're near you.
Yeah, you can definitely use it, but
I think it's still really good. Honestly, it's just the 2 void point part that's
I don't know. I don't think it's that great personally. The free action is a free move, which means it's going to be generally a short distance from your target. Your target shouldn't be away from you.
But even
in
if
the
you're
first
near
place.
them, you can still make you be the target of the attack.
Yeah,
right.
And
well, yes, that's what
you have better wounds, probably more soak than the people you're guarding. You're probably harder to hit than they are.
It's just, is it worth 2 void points?
Are you harder to hit though? Because I mean, like if you're giving all that AC,
I was gonna say you're not.
It might be harder to hit than you are to begin with.
Yeah.
If you're in defense stance,
if you're in defense,
you're on average by rank 5. You're probably defense 5 at least. So you're probably at least Air 4. So that's +9, +12 TN to you in defense stance.
Yeah, if you're spending all your time,
and you're probably wearing heavy armor, and you're probably going to have good reflexes. You're probably harder to hit.
I would say if you're definitely building a very defensive Daidoji, that's definitely going to be the case.
I think that's the way to go.
You still have more wounds because of your rank 1.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I think that would go definitely going into how you build your Daidoji, and I think that's where you have options, and that just shows the usability of this class.
Even with the rank 5, I think it's still top.
Yeah.
It's like
I think
the way you build one is
the rank 5 doesn't work against the Daidoji. I just think that the rank 5 is not really a good option because you either have to make a choice of being I'm going to just defend and defend and defend because you can't keep burning both rank 5 and rank 4.
Yeah,
you just can't.
It doesn't feel like a rank 5 compared to other rank 5s.
It doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, there's other rank 5s that are way better for sure.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's bad.
Which is interesting compared to its rank 1.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the way to go is have at least Void 4, Earth 4, and Reflexes 4, and the rest is kind of a crapshoot, honestly.
You are going to be, unfortunately, a Daidoji. That's a very tank Daidoji, and that will definitely do the job of keeping your charge alive, which is what you want to do. By God, that'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, they're good to have. There's a reason everyone wants them.
It's still probably a 5 scored wise.
I think it's a 5.
Oh yeah, I think it's a 5 too.
Agreed.
It's definitely a 5. There's just the only thing I would state.
Even if it had a better rank, if it had a better rank 5, it'd just be ridiculous.
Yeah, The only thing I would state is that it is if you have a charge, and this is where I'm going to go into two things. If you have a charge, for protecting his Daidoji, you get a lot of your bonuses to work for him, but it also means that you have to make a choice on how to approach that fight for him. But even if he doesn't have a charge, and this is really where I think the Daidoji just is why he's a 5 for me. If you don't have anybody to protect, there's no real penalty to your class. You are still immensely good because of your rank 1 and your rank 4. Even your rank 3. And that's what makes, in my eyes, like Daidoji a rank 5. Because your rank 1, 3, and 4 still make you insanely good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're one-on-one, you probably go full defense and when they swing at you, they hopefully miss. You might spend a void point to like up your TN or something. And sure they miss, then you get the retaliatory basically super hit.
Yep, and then you switch back and you just slam them because now you can go into your attack stance and you'll have a 3 keep 1 to your attack rolls and a 2 keep 1 to your damage rolls. And you'll be swinging twice. And that's nasty to face. Even nastier, which if you take the spear, and then you take the alternate path, that can actually lock a target down before they even approach. So that's a good honorable mention to make. However, unlike the Daidoji Warrior and its greatness, we have the next one, which is the Kikita Bushi. All right, let's get into this bad boy.
The supreme specialized class.
This is a specialist class that's horrible. That is the opposite of the Daidoji, because the Daidoji is all about specializing and protecting your ally, and does it well, but it also does great by itself.
This one is specialized in something that's never going to come up.
I know. Let's talk about the Kikita Bushi.
Run through it real quick.
So rank 1 real fast is it's potent because you get awesome 1 keep 1 plus your school rank, 2 focus rolls in a duel, as well as attack rolls, regardless if it's a duel or not. It makes your center stance better, and that's pretty sweet, but it requires a round to build up. Rank 2 is probably one of its better abilities through its technique ranks, but it requires skill investment, which is where this whole school with the Kikita Bushi is just an unfortunate multiple trait disorder and multiple skill disorder too. If you're faster than your opponent, you get a 2 keep 0 to your attack roll against anybody who's slower than you. But the way to get faster is to raise up your EI Jutsu, which means that your Kenjutsu is going to suffer. So that 2 keep 0 is really to help balance out the fact that your Kenjutsu is going to probably be lower thanks to you having to raise up your EI Jutsu. So it's not really a benefit, it's kind of a wash. Rank 3 is a win more technique. Instead of having to beat your opponent by 5 or more to win the duel, you can beat them by 3 or more, as well as every increment doesn't have to be by 5 or more for a free raise. It's 3 or more. You're already good at dueling. Let's make you so great at it that if you happen to beat your opponent, you can get tons of free raises and blow them up in it. Awesome.
Basically lethal dueling.
It makes dueling truly lethal in this game.
Sword from 5 feet away, and he suddenly turns into a fine red mist.
Yes. And then rank 4 is unfortunately the late simple attack, and it's only with samurai weapons. So that is that, which you will probably never be using anything but a katana. So there you go. And then rank 5 swings around, and suddenly everything becomes amazing. Suddenly your center stance bonus applies on that turn, and then thanks to a forum errata that IAG shut down, and you'll never be able to find on their forum anymore, except through some other sites who also happen to save this. It actually applies the effect after. You do get a simple action now in the center stance, which means it synergizes wonderfully with your rank 1. It also gives the bonus of your center stance to assessment stages of duels. So congrats. Now you're covering everything with just center stance bonuses everywhere. The only downside is that it's about 10 years too late and feels more like a catch-up mechanic to most other bushi in the skirmish world. Also, you can only attack once, again, every other round, which defeats the purpose of the multiple attacks.
It's one first strike, man.
Yeah,
it's ludonarrative dissonance.
You're doing a 1 attack, 2 attack, 1 attack, 2 attack. So you keep getting that center stance bonus.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna flat out say it is the heavy focus on duels, the late multi attack, the multiple trait and skill dependency, and the deafening lack of duels in most games.
Right.
Just keeps
And the fact that you're really good at them means other people don't want to fight you.
Yes, exactly. There's nobody else who wants to face you in them, because they know you're going to probably smash the face.
It's one of my favorite things to be, and it's still probably a 1.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a 1.
Yeah.
And what's disgusting is that the ultimate
it's a 2.
No. It's not even close to a 2.
like relative to the like core clans, I think it's a 1. There's like worse ones, I think, actually, but
sure, but we're not rating.
Yeah, but we're not rating
like, in a 1. Like we're
not grading
them all against each other. We're giving them a separate score.
I would think, personally, if we did do that, I would personally say that probably the Kikita Bushi is probably potentially only outdone by the Moto Bushi.
Moto's not good either, but we'll get to it.
We'll get that when we get to that. But yeah, the Kikita Bushi is just, it is so specialized, but even if it's specialization, it doesn't really feel that great. And because of the whole the thought process on duels are such a defining moment of who is right and wrong, even though that's not really what a duel is, it just means that you don't have to potentially pay for what you said. It doesn't actually make you right. Just because I duel somebody because I told them that the sky is red and I win, the sky's not red. It just means that I got away with saying the sky is red and I can believe it and nobody's gonna be like, you're an idiot. So
I think you're crazy, but
you don't think you're crazy, you're stupid, but I mean technically you're not wrong, so it must be to you that the sky is red, but you're definitely weird.
The crane needs what they used to have, in my opinion, which was being able to sub Iaijutsu for Kenjutsu.
That would have been
every other edition. It still wouldn't make them like great, but it would be better.
It would definitely help.
It would definitely help because it would take away the dependency on
double skill dependency, basically.
Yep, and that's unfortunately that's a disgusting thing that no other school except for one technically has. So it's definitely a 1, which is unfortunate because, as Mao stated, it's probably my favorite class too. I love the dueling. I love dueling. I think it's very fun. It just sucks that when you're a Kikita Bushi, nobody wants to face you because you're Kikita.
Well, if you love dueling so much, let's talk about the next class.
Yeah, which will be the Dragon Clan, and specifically the Miyamoto Bushi. So just going down them really fast. Rank 1, they actually get a plethora. They just get like open a present, just like Christmas. You get no dual wield penalties. You get extra armor while dual wielding your katana and wakizashi. You can also choose to gain a +5 or a -5 to magic TNs, better cast specifically against. It's just a very nice starting kit. I think it's very thematic appropriately.
It's good.
Rank 2, it's your Kenjutsu to your Iaijutsu rolls as a static bonus. That's pretty much it. It's
not. I mean, I don't think it's that great.
I don't think it's that great.
In most situations, it's doing nothing.
Yeah. I would say it's probably better. It's probably better when it comes to the multiple skill disorder, though, just because you're always going to be generally raising your Kenjutsu because skirmishes are almost always going to happen, and it's just a nice bonus that you get to also add to your Aijutsu when that 1 in 1,000 fights turns out to a duel. So,
sure,
you're adding your Aijutsu to your
Kenjutsu.
Aijutsu.
Yeah, I was looking at it, and for some reason, like I read it the other way around. I was like, "Wait, what? What am I reading?" And
it's not a penalty. It's just, I mean, it's not.
Most of the time, it's a dead rank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to be center stance anyway. So
yeah. So thankfully, they do get a rank 3 simple melee attacks, but it is again for only samurai weapons. So congratulations.
You get it sooner than the Kikita.
Yeah, you get it sooner than Kikita, and that immediately makes you better.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get the next rank, which is actually kind of where the Miyamoto starts to shine, and you got an idea of like how it's supposed to be played, which is one of the few schools I think has kind of like an idea of how it should be played. Whenever you are attacked by a target for the last round, the attempt, it doesn't matter if you're hit or not, during the reaction round, you can choose one of those people who tried to hit you, and the next round against them, you gain +3, keep 0 on your attack rolls versus them. I'm going to say this right now, just to point it out here before anybody says anything. You do not need a void point to actually activate this. This is free.
Yeah, it's
that's nice to combo with the feint.
Oh, go on, Ted. Sorry.
Nice to combo with a feint. Like, again, thematically, if nothing else, that you have 2 swords, somebody tried to attack you, and then you turn around with that +3 in a feint. Make them focus on the katana when you strike at the wakizashi or whatever you want to flavor it as. It just flows really well, very thematically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the +3 keep 0 is just phenomenally good, and the lack of having to spend a resource on it frees you up as well. So, and then the last rank is you get to actually make a third attack, albeit with your wakizashi, which means the difference of 3 keep 2 versus a 2 keep 2, and you do have to make 2 attacks. They don't have to hit; they just have to be attempted. But that is
Yielding 3 attacks.
the Yolden 3 attacks.
They've always had this.
Always had it. I will state flat out, I think making 3 attacks is good.
Yeah, it's really good.
That is brutally strong. Because congratulations, your first 2 attacks didn't get them down. Well, this third attack will probably drop them. Sure.
At -1 damage die, it's not a big deal.
Which is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Having 1 less damage die is really nothing.
Considering though,
I mean,
that amidst all of this, you have to use 2 swords when you can do with 1 sword, right?
Yeah, I know, it's absolutely true.
Still in the flames.
Just gotta keep that fire going. I think ultimately they don't excel super well in anything.
No.
But I think that's kind of exactly what the Miyamoto Bushi is about. They're not meant to excel.
Yeah.
They're meant to do a little bit of everything. Fingers in different pies.
I don't really want to give them a 4.
I think that sounds like a 3 then, if they don't really excel. Like,
I think
That's
they're
what I'm
better than a
thinking.
3 though. They're 3.5.
I would personally put them in a 4 only because the rank 5 gives another attack, and a rank
And they get a rank 3 second attack.
Yeah,
They used to get their
in a round is strong.
I would definitely give them a 4 if it was like the old way. They used to get their second attack at rank 2.
See, that would
in every other edition.
Disgustingly strong.
Yeah, it was super
So here's
strong.
the thing though too, with your rank 4, all 3 of those hits could benefit from that
Yeah.
+3 keep 0.
Yes.
So that's what pushes it to a 4 for me, I think.
I think they're really strong
Yeah.
in that regard. The only downside is that they kind of just have a very dead rank at 2.
Yeah, that's what takes them down so much for me. I'm going 3. I think.
me too.
I'm gonna stick with my 4.
Also have the built-in,
I can't
they also have the
disagree with
built-in
you,
spell
though, like-
resistance.
Yeah.
Harshly.
The natural spell resistance is also very
Rank
nice as
1.
well.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it just does it. They also I will say this, they don't really suffer from trait disorder, simply because of the fact that they don't really have to worry about giving themselves tons of void because the rank 3 doesn't require the activation of it. In fact, they have nothing that requires the use of void
Yeah.
in their own school, so they don't have to worry about having a void problem. And top of that, generally put, you're going to start off with a defense stance for them, which means you don't really need to try to force to go first, because who cares if you get attacked and you get whiffed on? That means you just get a 3 keep 0 versus on the next round. So there's only gonna be specific instances that come out. So I'm gonna put it at a 4, but since it sounds like we're split on that, we're gonna have to just leave that as a 3 to 4, depending on how you view it.
I don't think you're like disgustingly off the base there at all.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I just personally, for me, like I said, what really pushes it to 4 for me is the 3 attack. I just think being able to do essentially a keep 6 worthwhile of damage without even adding in bonuses is very good. Just very good.
yeah. Sadly, maybe this is coloring it a little bit for me too. They're like the one I never want to play. They feel like the most vanilla to me.
They're very vanilla. They're
like
they
the
don't
fun
excel
factor.
at anything. Yeah, but they're
That's what makes them like
They're the Mario. They're all around.
a 3. Like if they,
The Mario
if they don't,
Yeah.
they're just very vanilla. That sounds like a 3 descriptor to me.
Yeah.
What's not going to be a 3 in my eyes, tell you what I might think about it for better or worse, is going to be the next clan, because unfortunately the Miyamoto Bushi is the only Bushi for the core book for the Great
Them
Clans.
loins. Here we go.
Here we go. We got some loins. We're gonna get into.
Together.
Alrighty, I'm gonna just say this right now.
Let's get into the best fainter in the game.
Seriously. I'm just gonna say this right now. Thematically, the Lion are wonderful warriors and soldiers, and I love the fact that their schools fall into this process well.
Thematically, I feel like they're the most vanilla, even more so than the Miyamoto to me. So.
It's totally understandable because the first one up is a Kotobushi, and Kotobushi
but
falls
you get some
right
interesting
into,
choices here with just at rank 1.
He gets interesting choices, definitely. But I would flat out say this is also another school I would just give a beginner and just say take the kata bushi because it's very simple in what it does.
Yeah.
There's not.
Well, it also
hard.
helps them understand how raises work too.
Yep.
I love
really
the
good.
free raise because you can use it to feint. You can use it to help hit the guy. You can use it to call shot.
Versatility is almost always
is always
top
better than
tier.
I think everything.
Yeah. You always get a 1 KO against the total all attack rolls your first attack in the skirmish. And then
anybody that's called
anyone
raised
who's raised
against
you.
Yep. And then so begins the power to never miss.
Yeah.
You can also,
if they have heavy armor, it's not a +5, it's 10 effectively.
You can either choose a free raise or you can just choose the ignore the armor, which if they're having heavy armor means you don't care about the armor TM bonus. So
yeah, you find the holes in their armor essentially.
So yeah, and then rank 2 just adds on to this. You now add your honor to any roll except damage once per round. Now, mind you, any roll, which means if you're performing a skill roll, you can also apply it to that.
Yeah,
as long as you're not in center stance.
More versatility, better feigning.
Yep. You can. This is like essentially where you just decide if I want to hit you, I'm going to hit you. It's guaranteed damage or your money back.
Yeah.
And then just to follow it up, rank 3, they get simple attacks, samurai weapons only, but simple attacks nonetheless.
Yeah. You're a line. You're not using any of that barbarian stuff, anyways.
Right? Exactly.
Uncouth,
and then
swine.
and then rank 4 is the only one I would say is probably not that great.
It's the worst one, but I think it's still like it has its place. Like sometimes people will roll really well on a full D and like try to survive. This is the enemy's trying to get away. I still gank him technique, basically.
You're absolutely right, and this is where I'll agree with you. But even as you stated, it still has its place, and that's why I think it's just kind of low. But essentially, what it does is that you can choose a target once in a skirmish, so it's only one time per skirmish. You choose a target, and on the next round, you ignore all their stance bonuses to their defense rolls, which is it's really good, especially as you stated for the full defense. But it can only be done once. You have to choose your target. They have to be in that for the next round, which means that they're faster than you. They can immediately switch out of a stance and then not care anymore.
You gotta take down those pesky Daidojis who are in defense, or those Shiba that are all in full defense and guarding.
Yeah, pretty much. It's how you get around those guys. And then you get to rank 5, which is just amazing.
This has always been their rank 5 as well.
That's something I did not know. But I can't see a reason why ever dropping this. Rank 5 is essentially you call your raises against the target. If you fail to raise the increased TN for the raises, but you still hit the original TN, you still get to hit them. You just don't get the raises off of it.
Only on Buge skill rolls.
I mean, just normally where it's if you make those raises, you either do or don't. But this is guys like, well, don't worry, I've got an insurance policy on it, so I'm fine.
There's no reason not to raise.
Yeah, there's literally no reason to not to raise.
They never stop raising.
They don't get like a lot of stuff that helps gear their DPS out. They just constantly put out output. Yeah, they always hit basically.
Does attack rolls fall under Buge skill rolls, or is that technically its own roll? Because like when you look at rolls themselves, you have skill rolls.
It is a Buge skill roll.
Yeah, it is a Buge skill roll because it's using a Buge skill to make an attack. Which, I mean, that is what makes it so bloody good. You have an insurance policy.
Or horsemanship rolls, or I think athletics is a Buge skill.
Yes, athletics is a Buge.
There's a few. There's like one or two other ones.
Yeah, it's mainly for weapon use.
It's feint insurance.
There is the only downside of them is they have almost no defensive boons. You are raw. Whatever you have, your numeric is there. But
they're just so versatile.
They're so versatile. With the ability, with a free, I wouldn't say versatile, but with the ability and the freedom to choose without being penalized, that is disgustingly good. Yeah. And I think ultimately they're
a 4 for me.
Yeah, I put them at 4.
Definitely a 4.
Yep.
Nothing's like broken as far as like Daidoji has like 3 like busted techniques. Like the crab has like 3 busted techniques, probably 4, honestly. This has like 2, I think.
It's a little bit hard for me because I almost want to push it into a 5, just because I mean, if you can almost guarantee you're going to hit the target, and ultimately in a game that is about high lethality, that is the ultimate goal: is to hit your target in the first place to do damage.
Yeah, and you can just explode.
Yep, and if you can explode, and then
if you can't survive long enough to do that, though, like that's for me what drops him down to 4. He doesn't gain anything survivability.
Yeah, they don't have that much survivability, and
no, they do
it's
not.
basically like if you get your good feint off with the line, then you're doing more damage than anyone else probably.
Yeah, I mean their damage output is just going to be from the feint technique, which I mean they're not really going to suffer from because again they have so much plus attack. So, kind of balances out, but for their benefit. They're just a rank 4 and they're really good. They're really good at what they do.
Here's my favorite DPS skill coming up.
Yeah, the next one is going to be the other one, which is the famous Matsu Berserker. This is a
very grudging respect for this.
The Matsu Berserker, just going down really fast on its skill tree, is effectively your DPS if this were an MMO game. First rank is you get to add your honor, rounded down to your damage, which is just insanely good.
It's always been really strong.
Again, dealing damage in this game is very important.
You base punch a guy for 4k1 if you're a Matsu who went to the Matsu Berserker school. Plus your honor, 6.
Yep, it's a 6, and then obviously that can go up to a 7 or an 8, and it just gets stronger and better, and it's disgusting.
On average, it's better than a kept die.
Yeah. Because they start with an honor 6.5 from the start, you are literally just adding on another honor to it.
The other part of the rank 1 is also often overlooked, in my opinion.
Which is really, it's honestly like whipped cream or a cherry on top of your delicious freaking cake. But it's like, if you're in the full attack stance, you can also move another 5 feet forward towards the target.
So if you're full attack, you get another 5 feet. And then Matsu Berserker gives you another 5 feet. So it effectively increases your water for the purposes of moving by 2. Your water ring.
Then your maximum move per turn, though. That's the only catch.
That's the only catch is it's not maximum move, but I mean,
it really helps when you're like simple moving and stuff or whatever. Or your max move is your water times 20. So your free has basically become almost a simple.
Which is disgustingly good, especially if you did take out the kata that gives you another +5.
Yeah.
Which actually doesn't stack. Never mind.
But some people don't deal with distances, so also in this game.
So I mean that's it. Like I said, it's the cherry on top. If you deal with distances, if you take a more tactical approach, it's really good. If you don't, it's okay. You're not losing anything super important.
Right.
So rank 2 is I would probably say this is the only skill I would arguably say is this is hard, like this is gonna be hard to put relatively to the rest of the whole kit for this bushi. It is pretty subpar. The idea is that essentially if you mark a target that's at 30 feet of you, and if you slap them, they're frozen in fear and they have to make a earth roll, one of the few times the game ever asks you to make an earth roll, to see if you can break out of this stun effect.
The willpower.
Was that from the errata that changed Earth? Because it says willpower in the core.
Oh, does it say willpower?
Yeah, it's willpower.
That may have been
well, then never mind. Never mind. It's willpower then. So congratulations. Even less of a reason for anything that involves rings in themselves for rolls. But you do. The point is that you do break out of it. You can attempt to break out of it, but it does lock you in place, so the target can't run away. Which, I mean, is already hard enough if the Matsu Berserker is going to be in full attack stance chasing you down with their +10 movement speed. So
it's basically a way to help them more so in one-on-one scenarios, like because you want to full attack all the time, so you're easier to hit. It's basically ride by attacking, so you'll move like 10, hit them, then move past. And if they're using a melee weapon, they fail the roll, you're basically denying them a turn.
I don't know if you can split up your movement.
You can.
You can?
Yeah.
I thought we had this conversation a while ago.
No, I don't think you can in L5.
I thought you can.
No, I don't think you can. Not in 4th edition anyway. You can't break up your movement for your action.
Like I think you can with the different actions. Like at rank 3 you can go. I move, I simple attack, I hit you, and then you can free action move.
Yes, okay, I see what you're saying then. Yes, you could do that, and that would make
that's what I was saying, sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, okay, then in that case you can, because as you stated, at rank 3, they get multi-attacks for all melee weapons.
Again, they're just the best version of this.
It's one of the best, it's legitimately one of the best versions. I would arguably state that you may as well just toss away the katana that you start with and see if you can get a Nodachi.
Yeah, no dachi is always the way to go. No dachi or heavy weapon.
Yep. I just throw away the katana. There's really no point. And there'll be another reason why I say that as well later on. But for rank 4 anyway, is now you essentially do what a Hida does. You ignore your wound penalties. If you're in attack stance, it's equal to your honor rank. If it's in full attack stance, it's equal to double your honor rank. Both rounded down.
See, that's the difference though. That with the Hida, that's at rank 5, and you have to spend a void.
Yeah.
Well, you ignore up to a certain value on it. Whereas
they ignore all.
At rank 2. Yeah, whereas the Hida Bushi at rank 2 already gets a damage reduction from the get-go. But this does exactly what that damage reduction is. It's essentially just increasing your healthy wound rank pool, which is probably more important than anything else.
You're probably getting hit if you're a Matsu. It just helps you keep doing damage.
Yep.
Yeah.
And generally, because you're gonna have a high strength, you probably won't have to worry about being disarmed or knocked down. So, what you're really trying to avoid is take damage, a well-timed feint, so to speak.
And here's the best DPS technique in the game.
Here's the one that makes
rank
good.
5 of
this is
class.
I saved this rank 5. It's so disgustingly good that you can't help but giggle with glee as you activate it. After you've made your attack roll and you've rolled your damage roll, you can freely spend a void point once per skirmish and immediately cause all the die you kept to explode and roll them again. This is so disgustingly good.
Yeah.
It hurts. And it's exactly the reason why I say just throw your katana away and pick up a Nodachi.
Yeah, my wambo shindo.
Nani?
Yeah, exactly. You're already like Earth 4. You're gonna get your Kenjutsu emphasis to get like another. Well, that's damage. Yeah, so that's 5 base. Nodachi's 3k3, so that's 8k3, and then all you gotta do is like make some raises, get your strength up a little bit. You're full attacking, so you can consistently make like probably a raise or two.
What's disgusting about this is that Amatsu is potentially going to have a 4 or 5 strength, and then if you've got a Nodachi, your first rank is immediately a 1 keep 0. And I would almost argue the Nodachi is just better because at rank 5 you can draw any sword as a free action, which means that your Nodachi doesn't care anymore. That it's large.
And you get your honor as well to the total.
Yep. You add your honor to the total, which means this weapon is technically rolling a 6 on top of its 3 keep 3. So you're rolling a 9 keep 3. Then you add your honor to it. Then you explode the die again. So that's disgustingly good. I did actually a calculation on this, and on just a keep 2, mind you, not even on an Nodachi, and just exploding like say from 8 keep 2. The average damage is around 20 something. I think it's like 21 or 22. Immediately, if you explode on those die, you add another 12 to that total. So you're doing about, I think, 41 or 39 damage altogether, just from mind you, a katana 3 keep 2. Yeah, on average for the hit.
So probably our first rank 2 class, I think.
Yeah. Look here, buddy. So I would say I'm going to personally put the Matsu to rank 5.
Yeah,
I put them at 4. Just because they're glass cannons. But when they hit you, they crush you.
They're glass cannons, but I agree they're glass cannons, but I mean
the same thing.
I was gonna say, like, I think that you're right, they're glass cannons, but when you get to that rank 4, it just doesn't really matter anymore. Your healthy wound rank is now this big pile of health. So you don't care if you get hit. Sure, you might not survive if you get wailed on.
Yeah,
but
they can like feint against you if you're full attacking all the time, but they seem like relatively straightforward to play, but they actually have a little bit to them.
Yeah,
that you have to do.
They're definitely more complex than the Akodo. But I mean, if you want to just hit something hard and hit them hard, just do them out.
They're still really good.
They are so good. And I think the ability just to blow up. I mean, when it comes down to it, regardless of how you put it, and since we're playing on the idea that there's never a disadvantage side, because that does change up the plays. If you have an ally with you or you're solo, the ability to just blow a target up immediately puts your team in a very good spot, or puts yourself in a good spot, because now you've shredded their health, and they're almost mandatorily going to have to drop a void point as you're trying to reduce that damage, on the hopes that they might survive. They may not, because they may have just blown up because of lucky explosions, which you can forcibly make explode again if they didn't explode the first time. And that's, I think, what makes it good. And that's why I put them at a 5.
They were even better in 3rd when you could, when combat reflexes was a thing, and you could just switch initiative with someone.
Oh God.
So 1v1, if you wanted to be the 1v1 guy, you had combat reflexes. But yeah, so
yeah. But, and I think just the ability to drop a target out of a fight when it comes to a game about action economy. Very important. So I think it makes them a 5 for me personally.
Yeah, I'm still 4.
What do you put them at, Tets? Because I don't think I actually got an actual number for you.
Probably a 5. Yeah, they can hold their own against Daidoji, I feel like. So that puts them up at a 5 for
They're
me.
the best to pair with the Daidoji because you guard them.
Yeah,
And then they
That's
just
a
attack
disgusting
without
combo.
abandon. You get like a unit of 4 or a small squadron of 4 Matsu and 1 Daidoji and wreck everything.
Good God, that's the dangerous
Joji
unit right there.
Nahida walks into a bar.
Yeah, we're telling bar jokes. This is
God.
The next school is what used to be far and away the best school for 3 editions.
I would actually say that the next school is probably still one of my favorites. I would probably argue it's probably one of the most dangerous schools for one reason alone, but we'll get into it since we're moving on to the Mantis. And first up is the Saruchi. So rank 1 is pretty okay. They get a keep 0 to attack rolls with a bow, and they get +3 through initiative.
This is why I'm always like, I don't want to ever play Saruchi because this rank 1 is so boring.
It's disgustingly boring. I don't understand. I mean, they're all backloaded, which is what makes them really scary. But I mean, the front when you first start playing as Saruchi, it's just so disgusting good. And they're always going to have a high reflex, which means they're always going to have a high defense, and they're going to act very fast from the start anyway, because reflex is also for bows. Rank 2 is also very bland, but I mean, it just does exactly what it wants to do, and you get a 2 keep 0 to damage when you're shooting an arrow. Generally, your arrow damage is actually capped based on both the bow and the arrow that you're shooting. But this allows you, is one of the few ways to actually add more damage to that roll. So now you're actually hitting harder as well.
You gain one free raise towards cold shots.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And then rank 3, they actually have simple attacks with bows, but all the same simple attacks at rank 3, which means they're already got a good spot. And then the next 2 ranks are kind of where they become.
I mean, I think they're one of the only ones that can do that. With, simple with bows.
Yeah, unless you play a game where you consider Yumi for Yomi or Yumi. I think it's Yumi bows are considered the samurai. I know
a lot of the times that says melee. A lot of them are melee attacks. They'll specifically call it out.
Yeah, they'll let you know.
Yeah, they'll let you know. I mean, it's all going to depend on what the school says, but there is. I mean, the Kodo does samurai. The Kita does samurai. So those are 2 off the top.
Yeah, melee.
Do they say melee and samurai weapons? Because they just say samurai weapons.
No, theirs are just bow. The Saruchi.
No, the Saruchi's just bow. I'm saying like other schools though can also shoot bows with simple because
if it's samurai.
Yeah.
But sometimes it'll say like samurai melee weapons or stuff like that.
I just don't know which ones.
Point is though is that they do get the minute attack. The rank 4 and 5 are kind of where they start to get really, really dangerously good. Rank 4 is essentially the don't miss shot. Once per skirmish before void, you essentially just ignore. You shoot a Patriot missile at them is essentially what it becomes. You fire off a Patriot missile, it evades all like blocks, it ignores defense stance and crap, and it just slaps them in the face. It says, "I'm going to hit you." Cost of void can only be done once per skirmish, but I mean sometimes all you need to do is just
ignore
stance.
Stance.
It
just ignores armor, and you don't take any wound penalties.
I'm sorry, I mixed that up. Then it does ignore.
So you could be like blind and shoot, and you still ignore their
there's any penalties from wound ranks or visibility.
Yep.
So rank 4, you can play the blonde Saruchi archer.
Yep, pretty much. And then you cannot perform, unfortunately, the extra attack maneuver with this attack, which I say unfortunately, but I would say that's probably a good idea to state. And obviously you can't shoot a target that's farther than your bow's normal range. And then the rank 5 is essentially what makes them really good in my eyes. That is a complex action, which again, I don't understand why they do this with schools that have multiple attacks. But it's a complex action. You can essentially shoot with a bonus of 4 keep 1 to the both attack and damage rolls, which already stacks with your rank 1 and your rank 2. You just can't use this in conjunction with your Flight of No Mind. Now, normally I would probably say that this class is potentially a 3 or a 4. Until you remember that bows have disgustingly long range in this game. The Yumi bow has 250 feet. You can shoot 250 feet away. I don't know about you, but I would hate to be the samurai that has to cover 250 feet to melee my opponent back.
It's only, what, 50 squares?
With a, I think with like a rank 4
Rank 4 water, you're moving 80.
Yep,
max.
80 around. But again, the Saruchi can always keep backing up as well with that.
Yeah.
So you're technically also adding on a certain amount of distance to your Saruchi. The very fact that you have to cover distance in an ideal situation for Saruchi, although I've never seen it actually show up, but we're not playing it. How often does something show up? It can it? Which in this case, it can. If they have to cover that distance, that's a lot of attacks with. And sure, you might get there, you might be alive, but you might not be able to fight anymore. And that's what's most important, because wound ranks are very dangerous and disgusting. And that's what would put me, in my eyes, potentially not only potentially one of the best schools in the game, if you have that advantage, but at least verifies to me that it should be at least 4. Nothing.
Yeah, I give them a 4.
Yeah, they're very basic in what they do, but what they do is really good. It's like the opposite of the Kakita.
Yeah, pretty much. And they can survive really well for it. It's disgusting. The bow is really what makes it for them, though. And if you put them in an ideal situation, I'd put them at a 5, because if you put them at an ideal where they're able to shoot you from the max range and whatnot, and you need to get to them, fucked. Don't even bother.
They're good battlefield bushi.
Yeah, they're incredibly good.
Their old technique was, their old rank 5 was just auto hit 10k 10 damage, basically.
Yeah, that's kind of bullshit. Stupid. I'm just gonna point that out. That's a little bit broken. None of it immediately been like, well, that's a 5 right there. I mean, that technique literally makes it a 5. You can just have that one.
Yeah,
I'd
exactly.
Say it's a 5. So, but definitely they would put it out at 4 for me, and that's I think where we're all agreeing to be. So, moving on is the more well-known and oddly more used cousin of the Saruchi, which is the Oritomo. They're actually an interesting class. I actually kind of like their idea, but I don't think. Well, we'll get into it. Going down the list, rank 1, they gain no penalties to movement or attacks for rough or uneven terrain. You do not lose glory or honor when using improvised weapons or weapons with peasant keyword in combat. But if you're out of combat, you still do it, I guess. You suffer no penalties for fighting with a small or medium weapon in your offhand if that weapon has the peasant keyword. Finally, you gain a bonus of 1, keep 0 to all attack rolls. I just want to state flat out, this is essentially... Yeah, and this is just essentially a bigger present that's akin to like the Miyamoto Bushi. You just get a lot of stuff to immediately start off with. Unfortunately, not all of it's all that amazing.
Glory, it's not
glory
good.
Glory means almost nothing. Fighting, you suffer no penalties for fighting with a small or medium weapon in your offhand. Now, there's really no way to put this. How you read this is up to you, and I'm sure there's probably a general consensus among the community for L5R. But technically, it says you suffer no penalties for fighting with a small or medium weapon in your offhand, which would imply that you could have 2 weapons and not suffer any offhand dual weapon penalties for it as long as it meets the criteria.
Yeah, I think that's as intended.
I think that's how it's intended to be as well, and not that you just don't suffer the penalties in your offhand for it, because that would make it really weird.
Oh, still suffer main hand penalties. Okay.
Yeah. So it would be kind of really weird. So I think the idea is that you just dual wield, you gain the bonus to your defense, but you don't take any penalties.
So for no penalties for fighting, so that's none at all.
At rank 1, like a +1 TN to be hit, 2, 2, 3, 3, so on and so forth.
Yep. The biggest, I think that honestly the biggest bonus is really what it comes down to: the +1 keep 0 to all attack rolls, and the ability to not care if you're on rough. You are essentially just getting, I think, the rank 5 mastery for athletics for free, and that's what makes them really good. Right there on that one. Rank 2 is
it's only rough or uneven.
Rough or uneven.
There could be other tops of
moderate terrain,
or difficult terrain.
Okay, so it
doesn't ignore all of it.
So they'll cover it if they have 3 ranks of athletics. Then
yeah.
The rank 2 is kind of really get into a really interesting thing, and it's the opposite of the Hiruma. Instead of what essentially does every time you hit your opponent, you reduce their armor TN by 5. It applies to only your attacks last 2 rounds, but you can refresh it as long as you hit them once, as well as adding on to it if you're not capped out. It is cumulative to a
time limit as well.
Yes, that is the time limit, is the 2 rounds. But as long as you hit them once, it refreshes the time limit, and congratulations, you've also added on if you haven't capped.
It's a worse Hiruma.
Yeah, it's a worse Hiruma, which is unfortunate. It is. No, it really is a worse because it not only has a duration, but it also only affects a target. It's not a buff to you.
Sure,
it's a
but it
debuff
is
to your
also
enemy.
better to make it easier to hit an opponent.
Yes. If they're a
Make yourself
tanky
harder to
opponent. This would be really good versus an Oni type opponent who's generally going to be beefy and bulky and is going to have a lot of health, and you just want to start increasing the damage output on by your allies. I think that makes it really great.
Sets up for feints, basically.
Yeah, and it sets up for feints, which makes them really
They
good.
go down to
It's
5,
not-
then you feint as much as you want.
It's not really amazing or anything.
No.
Yeah, it takes time to get going.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate downside. But arguably, it's not that bad considering rank 3. They get their simple attacks, which means they get it earlier than a rank as opposed to the Haruma. But again, it's not a buff; it's a debuff. You take that for what it is.
And it's samurai or peasants.
Yep, samurai or peasant weapons, which is the only thing. So there you go. Rank 4 is, I think, where they get. I think like the Saruchi, they're kind of backloaded where the higher ranks are better. Rank 4, if you move at least 5 feet, which I'm going to say right now, you should always be moving as a free act at least 5 feet.
Unless
you gain a bonus.
Daidoji with you.
Yeah, unless you have a Daidoji. Well, you can just circle around him. You can just keep going back between the two spots as standing next to him. You get a bonus of 10 to your armor TN until your next T around. Or if you're feeling to be you want to be feel more a little DPS, you can immediately sacrifice this on your turn before you roll any attack roll and immediately gain 2 free raises that can only be used to knock down maneuver, which is a wonderful maneuver to perform on your opponent. And it does play well with your rank 2 because if you hit them, congratulations, you're even easier. The ability to knock somebody down and not have to raise their armor versus that is incredibly good. But rank 5 is really where this kind of goes into play. You strike with brutal force, and you essentially get to do a lot more damage. You activate this technique by spending a void point as a free action, and you keep an additional number of damage dice equal to your strength. And if the target happens to be prone, you gain a bonus of +0 keep 2 to the total of your damage rolls against that target. There's one thing I want to state before we actually talk about the school as a whole. This last rank skill doesn't make sense to me because of the way it's worded. You keep an additional number of damage dice equal to your strength. You don't roll, you keep.
Yeah. So if you're using like something that's K2, like your 8K2 and your strength 4, you can go up to 8K6.
Yep. And then if they're prone, they get another 0 keep 2 added to that. So if you're like a strength 4, that's another +6 added to it.
They're a damage class.
They're very much a damage class. But this immediately tells me you should never be wielding a Kama, ever. Because a Kama is a 0 keep 2 damage weapon, which means that you actually can't roll enough die to equal the amount of die that you'd be keeping. You would be nerfing yourself on that. So just take out a katana.
No dachi.
Or,
it's times
you
like
can't
this
make
that,
you can't make multiple attacks with the nodachi.
It's times like this, I wonder, like if you look at the Masakari, it does say in its description that it is a variant on the axe used by woodsmen and lumber harvesters throughout the empire. Yeah. So, like, if you could have like an axe that was like a peasant weapon, so a peasant axe, heavy, you gain a benefit to knocking down. I could see there being a benefit.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there's no peasant weapons that really go towards knockdowns.
Nope. And I think the weapon that they're most symbolic for them, which is the Kama, the pair of Kama, are also really bad choice for them because their own rank 5 works against the amount of die you're going to roll.
Yep.
So I wanted to point that out from the start before we even look at that. That stated, I think the Yoritomo was probably a 3 or maybe a 4, but probably a 3.
I can't give him a 4 because rank 2. And again, I'm comparing it to the Haruma because Crab Clan is where I tend to base stuff like this off of. But after those 2 rounds and that whatever, so say like you've hit them 3 rounds in a row, they have a -15 to their armor, and then you miss your next time, that sets back to 0. It's not that the next time you add an additional. No,
it lasts for 2 rounds. So if you miss the next round, it won't go. You still have a round after that one to hit them again.
I mean, if you miss at that point, like if you were to miss.
Oh, if you miss for 2 rounds, yeah.
Right. The next time you do it, it's only a 5. It's not going to still build on that 15. Whereas the Haruma, he gains, even if he starts missing for a while, his armor is still staying there. So then it's not just that there's a time limit, it's that the time limit resets the amount of a bonus that's there.
Yeah.
And because of that, I can't give him a 4. I can't.
Yeah, I have to give him a 3. I think personally their own kit also just, again, works against I mean, they even have literally knives, comma, as an emphasis for free. And it sucks because the comma is not the weapon you actually want to use with them, because the comma works against its own class on rank 5, and that's what makes it really rough if you wanna.
Honestly,
I give them a 4. I think
I would almost want to give them a 2, to be honest.
I give them a 4. You can make raises for extra rolled dice, and if they're prone, they're really easy to hit. You already are knocking their TN down.
That's true.
They're just a little bit slow. Like if we were doing half points, I'd do 3.5, but I think they're a 4.
I'm gonna stick with my 3, and it sounds like Tetsu, you're kind of at a 2 for them, just because of the lot of limited stuff.
Yeah, I would actually say probably as a 3. Because I'm basing it as a comparison, and to me the Haruma we already said was a 3, and it's worse than a Haruma, so I want to call it a 2.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's necessarily worse than a Haruma, just because of its rank 3 is the simple weapons.
Yeah.
I also fully recognize for myself, like, I'm looking at it from what my gameplay standpoint is, so there's a bit of a personal bias coming in there. So on paper, I would probably officially say a 3, but I want to give them a 2.
Okay. So then, Mao, you're gonna say as 3 as well.
They used to get Yoritomo's Rolling Wave used to be they just got extra TN equal to their water times 5.
Yeah.
So in first edition, it was stupid strong. Basically, they were almost impossible to hit in first edition.
I think just the factors is I can understand you giving them a 2, and I could definitely see like why a 2 would be there. That's I could see it, because I mean, as I was pointing out, I mean, you can make the raises to get the extra damage kept so that you're not penalizing yourself for utilizing. But I think that again, that just is like that's something you have to think about.
Blessing.
Yeah, Bishamon's Blessing, or you have to take something that you essentially have to take. You have to do something extra. To
they have like a clear.
That you're
they have like a clear build. They're just not versatile really, and they're kind of slow.
They're slow to build up. They're late build. They get the 3 rank simple attack, but there's a lot of their stuff just isn't. They're good. They're not bad by any means. It's just that they're not excelling in what they do.
I think for me too, part of it is that they are very much built around knockdown and gaining bonuses from having opponents knocked down. But again, the weapon typing that goes with that is heavy weapons, and there's no other reason in their build to take a heavy weapon at all.
No, there is not. So,
unless you want to be the setup guy.
All right, so we'll say it a 3, but a potential swing to 4 too, depending on how you look at it. So next up after
this is my favorite class in the game.
This is I enjoy this class, and I hate this class.
Really
good. We have the Phoenix clan, and the only bushi that they I think ever actually get. Yeah, it's their only bushi at all, even out of all the other books that have been released. And it's from the core book. It is the Shiba Bushi, which is another tank. They are the definitive Yojimbo tank for a specific character, mostly towards
they're the ultimate soak tanks, but not baseline.
No. So going down the list real fast here, they rank 1 essentially allows them to spend a second void point whenever they're trying to get a 1+1 keep 1 on a roll. They can spend another void point for a 2 keep 2 instead. You can also guard as a free action. However, your bonus to your ally is a 5 instead of a 10. Depending on who you are, you could either argue this might be better or worse than the Daidoji. I think personally, your situation and how you use it is going to change.
Yeah, it's different.
But because the Daidoji, I think, does guarding better because it allows you to apply the guard effect for that round and the round after, I would say the Daidoji is better.
This you can it's just this one's just a little bit more versatile. You can attack and guard. You can guard 2, and if you go defense stance, you can guard 2 people, and then you use your free action guard. The simple guards still get 10, only the free action is the one with the penalty.
5.
So that's an effective plus 25. But you're still, but unlike Daidoji, you're still losing -5 to your team to be hit.
Yep.
Also guard in full defense, so they're better at like not getting hit and guarding one person because you can just roll full D and still guard someone. But
yeah, I mean they're good. It's versatile. It's just I would probably take a Daidoji guarding me over a Shiba.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Guard. Unless I was a Shugenja. In which case, I would be all over that Shiba Bushi because rank 2 is why. When you assume your stance for the round, you can choose a target within 30 feet. Whenever your target casts or is a target of a spell, you may choose to increase or decrease the TN of the spell by 5. Additionally, whenever you're the target of a spell, you immediately may choose to increase or decrease that TN of the spell by 5.
It's my favorite technique in the game.
That is by far, that is a mean, disgusting, and lovable technique if you're on if your ally is that Shiba Bushi.
As a Shugenja, yeah.
It's a Shugenja. That's
Every Shugenja wants a Shiba.
Yeah. They're so good at what they do when it comes to Shugenja. I mean, just a -5 is bloody great. And
Path to Inner Peace heals them just for a free 10. Yeah, basically.
It's disgustingly good. So there you go. Rank 3 is one with the Void. You essentially get Void back whenever essentially it activates for free, but it does it during the activation round. If another character spent Void during the combat round, you regain a Void point. This cannot exceed your maximum. It may exceed your maximum, but all excess is lost after combat resolves. You do not learn actually anything regarding how the source of the Void point was spent or how it was originally spent. You can only activate, unfortunately, twice.
Guess what people are doing in skirmishes? They're spending Void points to take less damage.
All the time. You are just literally...
It's basically every round you're getting like -10 off of a hit, basically, is what it's going to amount to most of the time.
It's really good. I would say the only downside is that technically you only regain a single Void point. You don't regain.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how many times they activate a Void point. You're only going to get one. So any excesses you just kind of watching and crying a little bit is all that excess Void points gone.
Well, you can only spend one around anyway. So
yeah, not unless it's a school technique. So they could, or if you've got a katana and you use a Void point on that too. But I mean, it's not like it matters really much.
You can't void a damage roll on katana and soak.
I thought that was one of, or is that?
No, you can only spend more than one void point if it's with a school technique.
Oh, okay. All right, then you're right. Then school techniques only. Rank 4 is move with the world, which is just essentially their multi-attack. They get a simple attack instead of complex. It applies to samurai weapons, but they also get to add this to spears and polearms, which is kind of cool. I think they're the only core school anyway that specifically applies to polearms and spears. There's that.
Nice
and then
defensive weapons.
Yep, nice reachy defensive weapon. And then rank 5 is when they decide to transcend the mortal coil and become gods themselves. For every void point you spend, you gain the effects of spending 2 where applicable. So if you spend a void point to, say, get damage reduction of 10, congratulations. It's like you spent 2 for that.
It also mathematically makes them the best duelists in the game at that point.
Yes, because they can now spend for 4 keep 4 to any part of the duel room.
Non-lethal duelist, probably. Your damage still sucks, kind of. But...
Yeah. I think I've seen the math crunch. And I don't remember, but it may have only been the first strike.
I mean, I guess it depends because, I mean, as you can say non-lethal, but if they do this on their focus roll, that's 4 keep 4. There's just almost nothing that can keep up with that. You're likely to make the hit and get the hit first. And denying your opponent the first hit can be just as important as actually getting.
I mean, it depends on what they roll too, basically.
Yeah. Yes, of course. But the idea is a plus 4 keep 4 is just disgustingly good. There has been errata around this before. We have seen, however, we've had contradicting answers. One has stated that no, it can't be done in that regard, where you can add a 4 keep 4, and there's another one that came out and said that yes, it can be done. So
yeah, that's how I always thought it was. It was basically 4K4.
Yeah. I mean, you can take it as you see fit. But it definitely does make them the best duels in the game at 5. If void hungry, but it's not like they're going to be really going wanting because
We're talking baseline though. My actual favorite way to play them is the complete Yojimbo route. But
yeah, I know what you're talking about, and those are really
where you get you can intercept an attack, and then if you spend a void to reduce the damage, it's doubled. Then the rank 5 order Chikai, you can intercept an attack, and then if you spend the void point, there's no damage taken.
Yep. As just one more heads up, additionally, you can now spend void points on enhancements twice in one turn, which also good. So if they hit you once, congratulations. I'm going to spend a void point to reduce the damage. And then if you get hit again, congratulations, I'm going to spend a void point to also reduce the damage. And they're
It's
both
really
doubled in
good.
effect.
It's up there in competition for one of the best rank 5s as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I would think de facto it's probably one of the best.
Probably the best school that has a rank 4 simple attack.
Yeah,
It is.
It is. It's
Definitely.
hands down definitely the best.
Yeah, I give it a.
I would.
It's like a 4
Tough.
probably.
Yeah,
I would say a 4.
It's like
Just a
halfway
4.
between 3 and 4 for me, honestly. But
Yeah.
I think 4.
I'm gonna have to say so. As 4 as well. It does what it does really well in a different way from a Daidoji.
It's just fun. It's fun to play too because you can just cover. So you can be the skill monkey. You can tank really well. Your support for Shigenja and support by helping people to get their TN up. It's just you get tons of interesting choices with this class.
You also don't feel limited by one of your traits. You don't feel like the need that you need to get your void up there because you don't have to worry so much about it because you're going to get a void back anytime anybody spends a void point around you. So you're never feeling at a loss for potentially saying like, do I want to try to take this hit without it? Do I not? And you're like, nah, I'll use it. You don't care. So they're definitely a 4. Tats, do you agree with that?
I agree, definitely.
All right, 4 it is. So, all right, unfortunately, we're done with the Phoenix clan, which means we're going to be going over to the Scorpion. They've got, I think, only one as well, actually.
Yeah, only one.
They only got one. Yep, only one. Because unfortunately, the other school
Ninja
is a
doesn't
ninja.
count.
Yeah, it's not a bushi; it's a ninja specifically. So, the Bayushi Bushi is another air-based type bushi that is much like the Kakita, but I would argue potentially better.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say flat out better. I shouldn't even say potentially. Rank 1, I think, is actually immensely good. You get a plus keep 1 to your initiative rolls, and you get a plus 5 to your armor TN against anybody with lower initiative. That's really good. You just immediately act like your reflex is 1 rank higher when you're rolling your initiative. Anybody who's lower than you, plus 5 to your armor. Just immediately, you may as well just have heavy armor at that point for most fights. May as well. I think it's really good. Pincers and Tails, the second one, you essentially just can make a feint maneuver for 1 raise instead of 2. This is really good later on in the game.
Yep.
Disgustingly good. It would only be better is if the Scorpion Bayushi Bushi actually got increased attack, but it does not. So instead, it gets a feint reduction. Rank 3 is when you assume a stance at the start of your turn. You can choose a target within 30 feet of you. If you successfully hit him during your turn, they are fatigued, as if they've gone without rest for 4 hours. They can attempt to, during reaction stage, negate this with an Earth Ring roll against a TN of 25 to negate the technique. If they fail, then it just ends up wearing off on the round after. But technically, always going to have it up on that. I think this is actually. I just want to make a special note here. This is really good for a school that's going to get a rank 4. The ability to action as a melee attack is a simple action. The rank 3.
I think fatigue only gives you -5, right? Though
it gives a TN of minus. Increased TNs of 5 for physical based skill rolls and certain other things as well. I don't remember them off the.
Where you get fatigued and then you get fatigued again.
I don't think I don't know if it stacks though. There's no rule saying it doesn't.
It does, I believe.
Yeah. So here. Yeah. It's just gives an additional bonus to the penalty, but then in addition to that,
It actually also the other thing
it makes it harder for them to basically resist your status effects too. That's what's good about it, in my opinion.
It also makes them harder for them to.
They're making like earth rolls basically.
It also makes it harder for them to hit you as well because that's a physical action too. It also denies an opponent. This is the also kicker. It also denies them the ability to full attack.
Yeah.
It only lasts for basically a round though.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Well, for the round you hit them on, and then the round afterwards they fail to break out of it.
Yeah.
Rank 5, since we've already talked about the rank 4 being the simple attacks for melee weapons. Rank 5 is you hit your opponent, you spend a void point. Well, you don't hit your opponent. You spend a void point and then perform a complex action to attack your opponent with a melee weapon, specifically melee. If you are successful, the target is stunned. they can then perform in a chance again an Earth roll to get out of this during the reaction stage, equal to a TN of the damage that you dealt to break it. If they fail, then the stun ends on the next round reaction.
It's good, but I miss the old rank 5.
What was the old rank 5?
Yeah.
They could make raises after they rolled for any roll.
That's disgustingly good, and
Yeah.
I personally,
It was so Scorpion
banned.
though.
So banned. I would say that's
they very
better.
much took a nerf. Yeah.
That is way better than the
Yeah,
Akodo
they used to
rank
be
5.
way better than they are now. I personally think they're one of the weaker Bushi clans, but
I think
their rank 5 is like their best technique in my opinion.
The rank 5 is really good. The rank
But it
3
builds well with using poisons and stuff as well, though. Like you're not just using the whole thing with the Scorpion is you're using underhanded tactics. I'm not just cutting you with a sword and doing sword damage. I'm also putting poison into your blood, so now you're having to deal with that and dealing with fatigue and dealing with possibly being stunned. So their strength lies in your ability to combo up conditions.
They are I would actually say that the Scorpion, the Bayushi is just in my eyes a very deceptively strong class. The ability to go first means that generally you're going to be able to get your stance bonus on them fast. If you're faster than them, you get a +5 to your armor PM, so make them hit. You top that on with the rank 3, and then now suddenly you're fatiguing them, which means that if they're low on wounds, which they might switch over to a full attack to try to just get that last ditch hit on you, they can't because they're fatigued, and they're at another -5 for it as well because they're fatigued. And then on top of that, if you add on that rank 5 where they're stunned, now you stunned them, they're fatigued. And they're gonna they're not gonna be able to get their action at all, regardless if they succeed or not for the next round. To get out of it, they've still lost that turn, which they'll likely go first to stop them. Their kit is really good at stacking debuffs on you and making sure that you are kind of effectively at rank 5 denied.
I think the best thing about them is they have access to Bayushi as an ancestor personally, but
Bayushi as an ancestor is disgustingly
He's the best
good.
ancestor, by far. But I give them only a 2, honestly. I'm not like a big fan of them at all.
One of the things I find interesting is that, like, thematically speaking, I do find it interesting that the Akodo gets bonuses to fainting, which is deception in battle, and the Bayushi don't. Like, I feel cheated on that.
They get a bonus. It's just not as much of one.
It's not as good.
Yeah.
Well, Akodo said it in Warfare, all actions are honorable, so there you go. It is very thematic.
It doesn't mean that I don't know. I want them to be better at that than the Akodo are, because
I can see where the idea is from.
that's a want more than anything, but I put them at a 3, to be honest.
I would actually put them at a 3 too, because I just think the fact is that if you can stun somebody and then fatigue them and then stay faster than them,
they're better one-on-one.
They're wonderful one-on-one. Well, I mean, they're going to be wonderful one-on-one if you face 2 of them and two of them are slapping your characters. It's not going to matter. You're still getting stunned. You're still getting fatigued. It sucks. And the ability to deny full attack stance as the last ditch is just what pushes it over to.
Yeah, I just don't think they're anywhere near as good as what some of the other clans can do.
No, I mean, that's a lot. But you need... I'm sorry, go, Mao.
I was just going to say, I put them at a 2 for myself.
I can see it. So that puts us at a split. So
they're sadly ones that got worse in 4th edition. They were really, really strong in previous editions. I think they even got 2 attacks earlier in one of the old editions.
They might have.
And the pincers and tail used to be really good. Oh my god, what to do? Whatever. We're not talking about those editions, so.
Yeah.
So, that's them, and then
they're good ninja support as well. Like, I think that's the other thing, is that they're not a straight up bushy, but they're good for ninja support.
They're good.
They're good skers and stuff.
Yep, they are wonderfully good at what they do. Oddly though, they do get for some reason I don't understand why they get a +1 intelligence.
They're smart.
They're smart. All right,
it's weird though, because it doesn't plug in really to anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't really plug anything to their kit at all, but I guess that's the thing. So next on the list is the good old family over in Spider Clan territory. And per the core book, their only bushi is the Daigotsu bushi, and we're gonna follow it off with the core book here. Going down the list real fast for them. First rank is essentially you can choose at the beginning of the round to either reduce your TN penalties equal from your wound ranks by your strength trait plus taint, which I'm just going to say everything is plus taint. Or you can increase your damage rolls by the same amount. Additionally, the TN to detect presence or effects of Shadowland Taint is increased by 10. Rank 2 is you spend a void point as a simple action to give all your allies within 30 feet plus 2 keep 0 to your total of damage rolls, and it lasts a number of rounds equal to, say it, read it all with the class, your taint rank plus your strength. There you go.
Really good.
It does not stack with other Daigotsu boosts, by the way. Rank 3, you can make melee attacks as a simple action instead of a complex. Rank 4, anytime you hit your opponent, you immediately regain 5 wounds, and this can also exceed your maximum by 20.
Temporary hit points.
Temporary hit points, and then any excess wounds are lost at the end of the skirmish. And then rank 5 is once per skirmish, for free, you can just immediately attack somebody with a complex action with a melee attack, and that attack ignores the bonuses of armor, reduction from armor, and any stance the target is assuming. If it hits, the target cannot gain bonuses from armor or stance of his armor TN for a number of rounds equal to your, what is it? Strength and taint rank added together. However, they do still suffer penalties, like if they're, say, in the full attack.
Yeah, they're a really fun like support bushi as well, because you just set up your allies and you can still like handle yourself by yourself.
I was gonna say they stand pretty good on their own.
Yeah, they fight well on their own as well.
They're just really good.
They're really good. The ability, they essentially have something that's almost equivalent to what is a Matsu in rank 1, whereas you add 2 stats to potentially your damage. And then the only downside is that eventually there's a point where I'm like, I want to kind of hit them as opposed to, suffering for it, so that I can switch it over and just ignore wound penalty.
Yeah.
That's really good. I mean, they're just dealing more damage just from the get-go, especially with the tank.
They make really strong NPC opponents to use against your party, honestly. I think the rule, maybe I might be wrong. I know in like 3rd and 1st edition it worked out this way, but basically you couldn't play a character in old editions that had a taint rating equal to or higher than your highest ring. So you always had to like kind of it was basically like your connection to the elements and your humanity. If your taint got above that, you would become lost. I think now it's just tied to like what your taint rank is.
Yeah, it's just tied to the taint rank now. For that, but I mean, if you're playing an actual if you're playing an actual Shadowlands campaign as the bad guy, quote unquote, characters, or you're playing just a game where
it can get ridiculous.
Then you don't care because you're already the bad guy,
and you'll have Shadowland powers on top of that.
Yeah, which is what makes the taint rank more versus the Shadowland powers. What sells this guy for me, and personally, I think the scariest thing that they have is the rank 4. Just the fact that I can hit you and heal myself. That's so good. I can heal potentially 10, 15 wounds in a round if I get an extra attack in. That's so good. I can heal myself. I can just keep going.
Always pretty strong in this. Just because healing is
good.
Yeah. And
they don't really have like a dead rank or anything.
They don't. Rank 2 is wonderful if you've got a lot of allies with you and they're all melee users or damaged like strength. They have strength to them. Rank 2 is wonderful. Just stand there, spend a void point for a simple action, take up a defense stance until you're rank 3, in which case it doesn't matter. And then just activate that, and then all of your allies are running around for potentially 4+ rounds with just 2 keep 0 more damage. So I would put them personally at a 4. And that would
I give them a 5.
Yeah, I think they're a
5 for me as well.
Yeah, like Mal. I think Mal said they don't have a dead rank, and they're all really good. They can support well. Taint is just the taint stuff is strong.
Part of it though is that they're strong because of taint, because it's also at least slightly expected that they're going to be more villainous.
They're worse if you're trying to play like a guy trying to actually be a samurai of the Empire, not be a tainted monstrosity. Then they're worse at that point. Then I'd probably give them like a 4. But
yeah, I mean they still work fine without any taint too.
Yeah.
I mean, they work fine without any taint. I think the only thing for me though is the fact that like the 2 keep 0 is only going to be the rank 2 for me is only really useful if you at least have a couple allies who are going to use strength, which I mean is not unheard of. Obviously, we're not playing it off that, but you need a few people who are going to have who are going to be.
I do
utilizing
think it is their worst rank.
Yeah,
it still has its uses.
Rank
it's really
5
good in battlefield scenarios too.
Rank 5 to me as well is not exemplary, I suppose. I mean, the idea that you can ignore armor or stance.
Interestingly enough, helps you like crush Oni.
It does. It actually is better against Oni than anything else.
Because they usually have really high reduction.
And that's kind of like, honestly, like it's kind of things though, is that most schools don't actually do either a lot of stance stuff to go into to defend with, and most of them are generally going to only have a +5 to their armor from the get-go. So you're spending a complex action to potentially ignore 3 damage reduction and 5 armor for a number of rounds, or
it's another
for that round for that attack. Yeah, I think it's very limited in the scope of its usability, but it's really good if somebody decides like, well, I'm going to full defense stance, and then you're just like, no, you're not, and then you hit them. In that case, it's great, but generally, a trade for an extra attack for potentially just ignoring small bonuses is not that good. Which is why I only say it's a 4, but I can easily see why it's a 5. And if you were to take this and add the Shadowland bonuses to it, then it's absolutely.
It can become the strongest. You can become like the strongest character.
Oh yeah.
Out of anyone if you start getting Shadowland's powers, but that's all GM dependent and stuff. And
yeah, and that's part of the game. But if you decide that there's no real cap to your Taint rank, then I mean, by all means, they're gods with weapons. So yeah, group consensus is there a 5. So that is done with the spider, which leaves us with the last great clan, the
Unicron.
Great.
Unicron. So, Motobushi. Let's talk about the Motobushi.
Oh my god. I had to explain to Chiaki why this was not a good school.
I'm gonna make an argument for why we'll get into it later on. Let's just go down their things. Now, I'm gonna start actually with their kit, because this is important. There's actually a very important part to the kit. In their kit, they get a unicorn riding horse. This is important to make note of, because if you are on a horse, you are considered to have it moves for you. You have the high ground, which immediately gives you a 1 keep 0 to your attack rolls against anybody else who's below you. You have awesome movement range, which kind of is a wash because you're going to be raising their strength with the moto anyway. But that is a thing. And you also get the choice of riding or heavy armor. You do not get light armor, which means that you do have to take a penalty of some sort if you're not on your horsey, or if you decide to go with heavy armor.
It's a riding horse, not a war mount as well.
Yeah, it's a riding horse, not a war mount. The only downside.
It's not Otaku Battle Steed.
It's not. No, it's no Otaku Battle Steed. But it is still a riding horse, and it does give you a horse, and that is important. So let's get that out of the way. Let's get right into the techniques.
This has my favorite clause in the game. You may wield any two-handed weapon with one hand, except for bows. Just to
except
let
for
bows.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, dang it.
Totally wield
Are you telling me I can't?
Arrows.
Are you telling me I can't wield bows, shooting 2 bows at the same time? What horseshit is this?
I pull them back with my mouth.
Beyond that, you gain +1 keep 0 to damage rolls while mounted, using a scimitar, or while using a 2-handed melee weapon. These bonuses do not stack, so you can't have a scimitar in your dual wielding or 2-handing that. Also, the samurai scimitars have samurai keyword. That is a very, very poor.
I mean, scimitars are good, but still.
Yeah. It's I would just say use a Notachi. Don't even bother with the scimitar. Just use a fucking Notachi.
Use a Nodachi one-handed.
If a Nodachi is one-handed, I'm just gonna throw myself off a bridge. That thing is huge. They can't.
They can use it one-handed. They will. Two-handed.
Oh yeah, they can use it one-handed. I thought you said Nodachis.
No. They're large.
All right. So rank 2 is anytime, whenever you're attacking a specific opponent, you gain you gain half of their wound rank TN penalties to your attack roll, rounded down.
Win more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a win more, which is just like the rank 3 Kikita Bushi. It's nice if you've been trading blows, because I mean it kind of acts like you're ignoring your wound penalties ish. But I mean, even then, even at that point, it's not that great.
It's a janky way to do it.
Yeah, it's a very janky way to do it. I mean,
this is their best technique, rank 3.
Yes, rank 3 is you can make attacks as a simple action instead of a complex when you're using a melee weapon.
All melee.
Oof. Yeah. Rank 4. Once per skirmish, if you bring your target to the down, to the out wound level, and not kill them, just bring them
down.
To the out.
Not even down.
Not even down. You just have to bring them to out. So slap them one more time. You may immediately make an additional attack as a free act. This attack may not target the same target as the attack that activated it. And you may not make raises on this attack either. So you just
limited. It's so limited.
I know.
I mean, it's also similar enough, at least for a trade-off with the Haruma one, where it feels like it's a rank 4 version of the Haruma's rank 5, if that makes sense.
It does, but you can only do it once per skirmish. They have to be to the out wound level.
It's a lot of conditions to put on a rank 4.
No, absolutely.
Can't target the same target that activated it, and you can't even make raises. What the shite?
And you still have to hit them with the attack.
Yep.
I would just say they could have easily done away without the once per skirmish, because
I would agree with that. The once per skirmish, the other limiting things are already there.
Yeah,
so
it already prevents it. But then furthermore, getting somebody specifically to out, if there's multiple ones of you, even if there's multiple enemies, how often are you doing multiple downings to out? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it can be a dead technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be. I will admit though that the fact that it's just you have to get them to the out wound level is at least better than as opposed to you actually have to kill them.
It is.
And they're going to be wielding. I mean, they're going to be wielding weapons. That's like the one thing
that's better about it.
They are going to be wielding a weapon that is a keep 3, so they will be doing lots of damage. So it's not really hard to put somebody into that rank, so to speak. And then here's rank 5, which is, I think, the only other good rank in this whole school. While you are mounted, which you will be if you have your horse on you and you didn't get it killed, or you're assuming the full attack stance, presumably because your horse is dead, you keep an additional number of damage dice equal to your strength rounded down. Awesome.
Half your strength.
That means half your strength, yeah.
Can't round down a full number.
I'm sorry, I thought I said half. But yes, it is half your strength. So congratulations. If you have 4 strength, now you add another keep 2 to your keep 3 weapon. So now you're keeping 5. Which, admittedly, I don't want to be hit by somebody twice who can keep 5 points of who can keep 5 die of damage. I will admit that's not something I want to be hit by.
Yeah, there are much more exciting rank 5 techniques, though.
They're definitely more exciting.
And better, way better. This is one of the weaker ones, honestly, in my opinion.
It would be better if that was only the case, but it does also have the stipulation that you only gain the bonus when wielding a two-handed weapon or a weapon. Yeah, so
yeah, but most motos
Scimitar doesn't.
Well, scimitars have the samurai keyword weapon for you.
Yep, for a moto they have the samurai.
You're right.
I wish they could do the stuff with bows too. Like the Otaku can, because the Otaku are basically the best archers that the Unicorn have. And I wish they kind of could too, a little bit.
I will state that rank 5 is the only thing that kind of redeems this school for me.
They're completely irredeemable in my eyes. I give them a flat 1.
I will only give them a 2 just because the rank 5 is the only thing that makes the school.
Plus they get simple at 3, which makes them better than the Kakita.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything's better than the Kakita.
But, I think I'm still going to give them a 1, but it's close.
Yeah.
I'm giving them a 2 only because, again, they start with a horse. And a riding armor, I will say this.
Yeah.
If you take riding armor, that is so disgustingly good armor. 12 armor, 4 reduction, as long as you're on your horse. No penalty. Plus, you get a horse, which means you get 1 keep 0 to your attack rolls. That's good.
It's still a 1 for me. It's close though.
Yeah, it's a 1 for me, but yeah.
I will keep it in my 2. Tets, are you the tiebreaker?
I think it's a 2.
Oh, here we go.
All right.
So there you have it. You have our Moto Bushi is either going to be a 1 or 2. Take your pick.
I do find this very interesting. The 3 that we've been split on have been Obs and Mao and me and Meta.
Yeah. I think it's just how you look at it.
In play styles, I guess, or something. I don't know.
And potentially, I mean, I see the utility of having a horse because a horse will allow you to travel farther. You can move more. It takes up your. action.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
I can understand why it's a 1 as well because ultimately it's.
I mean, you should probably be able to figure out how to get items out of your GM in this game.
Yeah.
This game, items are weird in this game already. So
yeah,
it's
like money and stuff. So
ask your lord for one. Yeah. Hopefully he gets you one.
Yeah, right. It's like, Lord, I'm going to be traveling here. Could I have a horse? No, I want you to walk. It builds character.
But the thing too is, though, if you get a horse, it's not going to be an otaku riding horse. It's going to be just a basic horse.
That is true. It's not it's going to be a pony. It's a shitty pony.
And but again, the turnaround is, and this is going to be the case also for the Otaku Battle Maiden, to be in a position like if a bar fight breaks out, your horse ain't going to be doing much unless you brought it in with you to get a drink,
or the castle.
Yeah, when ninjas try to assassinate the courtier or something.
Yeah, that's the infantry side. But unlike the Motobushi, the other school that we have is called the Glorious Otaku Battle.
I really like this school too.
This is a very good school. Again, I like the Moto. We're gonna just look at their kit real fast because they get the choice of either choosing light or riding armor. And they start off with an Otaku Warhorse for their starting kit, which is pretty much what they're built around is riding a horse. Crazy.
A horse, of course.
I know, crazy. So going down their skills real fast for their techniques. You gain a bonus equal to your honor rank to 1 attack per round. While mounted, you can instead choose to apply this to your damage roll, which essentially makes it equivalent to a Matsu. You also gain a bonus equal to your honor rank to the total of all of your horsemanship rolls. So essentially, you're never going to be thrown from your horse.
That's a little worse than the Matsu one, but they're more versatile. Matsu always get it. They only get to 1 roll per turn.
Oh, that's true. You only get to 1 roll.
So 2 attack Matsu gets his honor twice if he hits twice.
That said, and this is something we have to remember, your Otaku Warhorse will fight with you. Yeah. It will actually act on its turn to attack. Yeah.
Their attack roll isn't good, but still, sometimes they do hit. Yeah, it's like
their horses
6k3 attack or something, I think. Damage.
It can. The other horses have an issue with fear in it as well, don't they? Like they.
Yep. If you charge,
they get like a fear 3, I think.
It's a fear 2. I actually have a player using this in my opinion.
I got
It's not great by any means. Most things are not going to be.
It'll clear mooks.
It will clear mooks. If you play with mooks. Rank 2 is during the stage 1 of any combat round, which is just essentially the starting of. You may either add 5 to your initiative score or to your armor TN. This technique lasts until you use the technique again or the skirmish ends. You do not need to be on your horse for this one, which is actually good. So you'll get that regardless, which is nice. Rank 3, congratulations. While mounted, this is very key here. You may make attacks as a simple action instead of a complex
this is the bad part.
Yeah, that's pretty rough, actually.
That is mean. I just want to give a special note here. I would highly recommend to a GM, you probably house rule so that your Otaku Battle Maiden is not getting hit by this. Because I want to tell you right now, there are too many times where you are just not going to be able to either be on your horse or your horse is not going to be around.
It should be. I would make it samurai weapons.
Yeah.
Samurai weapons, and then
or any weapon while mounted.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
It would be. It's just that's very mean. It's just a very mean. But going on
from what I've noticed with Otaku, like if somebody's wielding having a horse-based class,
wielding a horse. Are we getting into that argument?
Yeah, we're wielding a horse now.
We already had that discussion.
Yeah, they will find ways to bring the horse in places where the horse shouldn't go, just for the sake of techniques.
Yes.
What that's inside a haunted house? Yeah, my horse is totally with me.
I charge in.
My horse is in the house, and I'm like, your horse is not gonna. So they'll try to find a way to bring the horse anywhere, and that's what also makes it a problem. Rank 4 is while mounted. It immediately starts with this. You may overrun the enemy by spending a void. You may take a simple action to charge the enemy and attack him at the end of your movement. Both the movement and the attack take the same simple action. You are mounted. The action uses the movement of your rate of your steed. I don't understand why it puts that in there because you can only do this while you're mounted. So I don't know how you're activating this without it.
Just for clarification.
Yeah, it might be a reminder, basically.
If the attack succeeds, you gain a bonus of 2 keep 1 to the total of all damage rolls this turn. That is.
I mean, it's good, but
it's good. Yeah.
only while mounted.
It's kind of weird. This one is always a weird one for me. I'm assuming the idea is that you are able to charge your opponent and attack as a simple action at the same time, but you're not supposed to be actually running past the opponent. You're just supposed to be going up to them with a simple move and a simple attack, kind of balled in one. That is what I'm assuming it's trying to do, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, and also coincidentally stacks with stuff like there's the one fire spell where it makes it a separate damage roll.
Yeah.
This would also stack with that.
Yep. It's really good. It just unfortunately costs a void point, but I mean the ability to add 2 keep 1 to the total of all damage rolls is, as we've discussed before, bloody good.
Yeah.
Which stacks with if you're mounted, which since you can only do this when you're mounted, you can stack that with your one-time roll of adding your honor to your damage roll. So
yep, you can get out some serious DPS.
Yeah, you can hit hard, and that the steed need to talk about me, and they can do some damage. Speaking of rank 5, at the beginning of your turn, you may spend a void point as a free action to activate this technique. You add your honor rank to all damage rolls and Bugei skill rolls this turn, which stacks with your rank 1. So spend a void point on this, spend a void point on rank 4, and then choose damage for your one-time attack, and suddenly you're hitting like just a truck. You're just a Mack truck. You're literally a Mack truck in horse form.
Yeah.
Horse?
I keep feeling I need the default, but this is either a 3 or 4.
I give it a 4.
I would. I want to almost say a 3 because
I understand why you would give it a 3. Yeah, I understand why you would.
It's like a 4 while mounted,
it's
and
just,
like a 2 when not.
It's just so strong.
It's if you're
maybe
on the
even
horse.
a 1 while not.
Well, your rank,
you can still activate your 5.
Yeah, your 5.
I give it a yeah.
Well, actually, your 5 and your 2 and your 1 still work unmounted, but you are losing out on some of your biggest things, which is the damage, the multiple attacks, and the rank 4.
Yeah, I like how they can like switch for the situation too.
Yeah,
I give it 2 while unmounted and a 4 while mounted.
Yes, I'm gonna agree with that. I would say
sounds like it's a 3. Sounds like it's a 3 for you, Mel.
Yeah.
If you go down the middle of the road, it's a 3.
It's like in limited resources. They give it a number, but you also need to read the
the fine print.
The fine print.
Yeah.
And here's another thing to consider. The horse can essentially be additional HP for you, additional wounds.
Yes.
But at the same time, if those wounds are filled, they're not coming back, period, because your horse is dead.
Yeah, the horse also does really good damage. That's that's what bumps it up to like just being on a horse, you're like one of the strongest characters in the game. Like if not the strongest, and like just baseline.
And looking at horses, as a side note, because I jumped over to there real fast, the pony, it actually takes a action horsemanship roll to even keep them in a fight, let alone to attack, and they possibly will run. The unicorn riding horse that the Moto get don't run, but you still have to make a horsemanship awareness to convince it to attack. Whereas the Otaku does it all for free. The battle steed does it all for free.
Yeah, the fact that it swings with you makes it really good, and that's why I'm gonna follow them out. It's either a 2 or 4. But if I have to choose a single number, I'm just gonna say it's a 4. A very low 4.
It's a high 3. It's a high 3.
Yeah,
a high 3, low 4.
I call it a 3 because of the risk.
But I would say a 4-2. 2 unmounted, 4 mounted.
Chiaki said this was the worst school in the game. She's full of it.
No, this is a very good school as long as you're on your mount. So there's that. And that, I believe, brings us to the end of all of that. It took a while, but
I think we're just going to end the episode there too, because we're at 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Are we seriously?
Yep.
Yeah. And,
holy shit!
I'm fine with that. It was a nice, good, cool discussion.
It was a nice discussion. Yeah.
I have one final question though before we close it out.
What?
Of our 4 rank 5s that we voted on, because we voted essentially on one rank 1, 1 rank 2, 3 3s, 3 4s, and 4 5s. And the 4 5s were the Daijoji, the Matsu, the Hida, Jutsu. Which one do you think is the top?
Sorry, what were they again?
Daigotsu, Hida, Matsu, and Daidoji.
I
would
they
say
do different things.
I think it's the Hida or the Dai. It's like the Hida is above them, and then it's like if we were doing halves, I'd go Hida's 5, Daidoji and Daigotsu are like 4.5, and I gave Matsu a 4, so I obviously think it's at 4.
Yeah.
So
I would probably agree with that. The Hida is probably just the best one. I just if I had, I mean, that's half I have to choose. That's just my all I said.
Yeah.
I just wanted to hear it.
I also think most of the time this is not going to be very helpful because most games are at low level.
Oh yeah,
true.
that's absolutely true. They're all at low level. Yeah. It's not a thing. But like I
It's
said, I wanted
Hida
to take the kit for what it is.
Yeah.
But you're right. In a realistic environment, unfortunately, most games are low level. We'll generally receive 4s or 5.
You die.
Sometimes
You
you
ain't
don't
getting
even
up
see
to.
3.
You ain't hitting rank 2. You're gonna be dead before then.
Nobody builds for that either, though. Even if you know it's going to end soon, you still build as if somehow magically you're going to somehow cheat the numbers and hit rank 5. Like,
Yeah.
You know what school I really like? It's not core bug, but I really like the generic Ronin Bushi school.
Oh, I do too. The generic Ronin Bushi school is so good. I wish.
And
it
then we
wasn't
didn't talk about the actual best Bushi school, which is
The Toku, who are also flat 5.
God,
Easy.
They're the
Toku
best.
is bullshit.
Yeah.
Toku is just a
Absolutely.
bullshit school. Absolutely horse crap. I hate any technique in a game where it's like, oh, you're really good because you've put invested points to make yourself better at something. Congratulations. I get a bonus because you did that. I hate techniques that are like that in any shape or form. I hate the doji.
It's arcade catch-up mechanics meta.
It is. It's
exactly
what it is.
It's like playing Mario Kart.
Catch-up. Fucking the doji magistrate. Doji magistrate, rank 5. Spend a void point. Oh, you have a really good air ring? You're fucked because of it. That's what exactly is.
It's really because the amount of resources you've had to put in to build yourself up to that point, it's really a slap in the face. It's really like
yeah.
It's not a matter of it's subverting it and going towards something you didn't put points in, so the choice was meaningful. That's something you specifically planned for. We're gonna specifically target that, and it feels cheap, is what it is.
It does. It feels immensely cheap. But yes, the Toku is by and large the best school.
Yeah,
and that's absolutely disgusting. They are.
The hair are really strong too. Actually,
the hair are strong too. I would say out of all I would actually see the Badgers also really good too.
Yeah, they are.
They hit like trucks.
Super grapplers.
Yes. Especially if they take the one kata that lets them reroll any roll that strength trait on because they can. I'm sorry, the kata that lets them use an attack roll with their strength instead of their agility for one time, because then their own technique actually applies where they can reroll that for free.
Yep.
So those are the Badger's really good, but yeah, the hair, the Toku, the Badger.
Yeah.
I would love to do this again at some point, but go for the advanced schools, which would take way less time because there's like only a few of them out there. But
it's funny because Crane are like the worst, and then they had to make the Kenshins and like really good,
really good. Yeah, there's only I want to say this. I actually did this before we forget for the school. I will state that mathematically, and I tested. Mathematically, with a lower health pool, mind you, not a 5, but a rank 4 Earth, the Matsu, if you take only average damage, Matsu Berserker rank 5 with equal skills and traits to the Hitabushi rank 5, the Hitabushi will win every time, even if it goes second. Specifically because, on average, with an Earth rank of 4, the Matsu will fill up to exactly 76 wounds. But that doesn't kill you because it doesn't put you in the next rank, which means that the rank 5 ability of the Hitabushi is activated. And it means that you don't actually go out, which means they can still act again on the round following and kill the Matsu. I just wanted to make that point out there. So that's for you, Tetsuo. I did the maths.
You don't know how warm and fuzzy my heart feels now to know that I am back mathematically I mean, you have to have the strongest guarding the wall, though. I mean,
that's true.
Want it to fall.
The crab has been like one of the best bushi schools in every edition. I need to show you how the math works on 3rd edition Hida Kasada one day. I like added it up. I think he has like 700 wounds.
Oh my god.
yeah, he's intense right there.
In 3rd, because he's like an Earth 9, and the advanced school I think lets you calculate your wounds if they're like Earth times 5 or something. Then he gets like bonus ones. It's just ridiculous, but we'll do that as a fun exercise
for something for another day.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. We'll end the episode there. We had some other stuff planned, but this went on.
I'm sorry, I didn't think it would take that long.
It's fine. It was a good discussion. If it was like a bad one, then maybe I'd be like, all right, Meta, what the hell are you doing?
I'm just trying to fill airtime off.
Yeah. I don't think our other topics are like super time sensitive, so we can come back to them.
Yeah, sure.
Or maybe other stuff will happen. And
Dead Cells is on sale right now for Steam, so go buy it.
Oh yeah.
All right, Mal, give me the 30-second sell on Dead Cells.
Pitch it.
Tell me what the game is. And
it's a roguelike Metroidvania-esque game with pretty tight combat, inspired by Dark Souls.
I'm sold.
Okay,
I'll buy a million copies right now.
You didn't even need 30 seconds.
Yeah.
How much is it on sale for?
It's $12.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's actually good.
It's really good. I'll talk more about it next week.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
I'm excited.
All right. This has been episode 57 of Podcast 5 Rings, your source of enlightenment, the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast 5 Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Talk About Topic day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Check us out on social media, Twitter, Podcast 5R, Facebook, P5R Podcast. We got the streams. We'll stream again eventually, Mal. Probably sometime this week, actually.
Whatever you need to hear.
Yeah, if you're free sometime this week, we can probably do that.
Yeah, can get some time.
Yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow. But anyways, until then, we'll see you guys next time. Go be a Matsu, a Daidoji, a Daigotsu, and a Hida, and
that'd be a hell of a party.
Frustrate your GM.
I would love to see that party.
If you got a 5th player, get a water Isawa Shugenja who can just heal you.
Water Isawa Shugenja, and you've got the best party you've ever seen.
And a Togashi monk if you got room for a 6, because they're also
throw it a Toku. Just throw it a Toku.
Yeah, they're also stupid. All right, see you guys later.
All right, bye guys.